versus one team, and you can truly analyze to the ground because they have to readapt to each other every single round. And the fact that we are doing a round robin format, every round is going to be different. Every round is going to be a new map as well. So readaptation is going to be hard and fast for these teams. Let's see how do they readapt as we fly into Miramar.
Here we go, right through the very southern platform coming in from Puerto Paraiso, headed into the corners of what I assume to be either El Pozo or even what was known as Ruins, or should I just name it Alcantara for now? Well, Ruins is still available, it's just that nobody really drops there these days, but there's definitely interesting options such as Cortona all the way down south, where E plus Kia, they're moving very swiftly into the southern corner of the map. Going to be joined by none other than KN hailing from the Japanese region. And of all teams, I'm definitely very interested onto how exactly will they actually wow us, because one of the last iterations that I recall very well that played super well globally was Bluebees, and it's definitely been a while since then.
Yeah, I remember Blue Bees when they came into the global stage, they revolutionized the DBS. And I remember that time the DBS was still in the airdrop. So they were one of those teams that, okay, everyone else does not pick the DBS at all. And whenever they had the chance to pick an airdrop, they would pick up the DBS. And they made it famous from there. And because of that, the following season, everybody starts using the DBS after looking at how effective it is that the Blue Bees players did use that time.
Yeah, it's crazy how teams can actually be known by setting a certain meta. And now when we talk about meta, it almost feels like almost every single weapon is really up for grabs for these players to really show what they've got. Now, we do get a list of Krypton coming from Alter Ego. It's not going to be the area that they want to bend up, but they have no other choice. RQ 1-for-1, Alter Ego losing a member through the knife by Lapar. And just like that, settles the scores. RRQ starting off strong.
Yeah, and Alter Ego, not that strong, obviously, but oh, wait a second. Rosemary fights back. At least he managed to secure 1 point. In the previous round, Alter Ego went out with 0 points. So this is their first point today. Talked about the arena. They seem to be in a fight with NS Red Force. And I noticed that one of the players of NS Red Force got docked. But no follow-up from here. So it could be one of those long-range knocks. And maybe we'll be back up real soon.
Could be the case. I believe that was being knocked out by NC2 out of E Arena early on. It's just that when it comes down to, mid to long range, it's going to be hard to really secure it. Now, RQ, they're hoping to recommit. It's only going to be Rosemary that they're going to be dealing with. But Rosemary's got quite the artillery, starting off with AR of his own with Scar L. And also, the last we saw, he does have a grenade in hand. So the moment that RQ arrives to the scene, they should try to at least prepare for this. And they're not leaving things to chance. So RRQ knows that there's at least 2 more members to go. But he does got no idea whether if Rosemary is alone or otherwise. So Alva, look at the minimap. He's not too far off. But how much support can he provide? Apparently a whole lot as he takes down Lapar.
And Alva gets taken out. So it's only Rosemary, the final player for Alter Ego, that's still active. So he has to come out with a clutch here against the remaining members of RRQ. Sees one right in front of him. But on the other side, Gen Force is coming in as well, so he will be surrounded. There you go. Front and back, nowhere for Rosemary to go, nowhere for him to hide. And Alter Ego gets eliminated.
Yeah, of all places that they drop, I'm just surprised that these 2 Indonesian teams are going up against each other so early on. I guess they're trying different locations to see whether if it works out or not. And RQ came up on top. And, traditionally when we look into, the PMSL Indonesian teams, they're very efficient when it comes down to playing inside Miramar. RQ, this happens to be their very best map. As for Alter Ego, they always drop over onto the far outskirts over on the south side as well. So I guess this is kind of like that kind of bump in that they didn't really want to. They were trying to contest for some of all these loots. And RQ right now coming up ahead, 4 points. And now we move over into the city of El Pozo, it seems like. I definitely need the confirmation on this one. Is it's going to be between D Savior as well as Alpha 7. Both sides being split across these compounds. And when you're playing in such a vast city, it's always hard to actually secure knocks and damage at least being done over onto Senna. And DX now has a clear idea on what exactly to do with their execution.
Yeah, and this is one of those rare moments that the Xavier play with pseudo names. So they could be trying out players. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Someone maybe trying to recruit some of the finest in Vietnam to create this Vietnam super team. Not that they aren't, they're already a Vietnam super team, but yeah. Trying to find continuity with younger blood, maybe. I mean, pseudo names, it could be the exact original roster players. Who knows? As for BTR, they also play with pseudo names. Look at this. I don't recognize a single player except for Kent, and I believe that's not him.
Asophobia, it could be him. I think we've seen the name Ken play in some of all these scrims, in some of all these off-season tournaments. So perhaps he's just going to be leading the fray, telling these prodigies what exactly do they expect moving into each round. So we'll have to see. Or you could be right. It's like, oh, coach, can I lend your phone? And I just don't want people to know who I am. It's like, okay, sure, buddy, take it. So, yeah, I guess one day we'll find out if BTR is going to go through that major overhaul. And what do you make of BTR's recent performance back in PMSL? Because I think, like, they're a team that needs pressure to perform.
Well, I guess with their PMSL performance, if that's not enough pressure, I don't know. But maybe we can talk about that in a little bit more as we need to focus on E Arena versus NS Red Force. The fight continues on. Mormon, the starman of E Arena, all the top transfers in PMSL Southeast Asia, showing why he's still the top transfer. Tourniquet on the other side goes in for the 1v1. Jump shot attempt by TZ failed, and Tourniquet with the SLK will finish him off.
Wow, quick work being done right there by each member of E Arena. They still need to go in for the rescue just to pick up for 5-6. He's done some damage. The pickup has gone through, so he just needs to heal up for the moment. While we might have missed some certain glimpse of Joker on his elimination. So E Arena, they come up on top, denting some of these members of Alpha 7, it seems like. So the Longshin Red Force, now that they're currently spread apart, well, I guess we got the confirmation it's actually Longshin Red Force. It's only down to Binny. Binny that actually finds a catch up against 457 again. He just got revive, and now he's going to bleed out very quickly. That grenade, if it climbs into the perfect angle, we might actually see Longshin Red Force perhaps turn the tides around.
You know what? Whenever I see the name Beanie, it reminds me of a wife.
Oh, yeah.
That's in Malaysia language for the benefit of everyone. But 1-8, it's all it takes by Tourniquet to finish off the wife itself. And this Red Force gets eliminated by E Arena. Circle-wise, wow, interesting circle. Hard shift to the north.
Very hard shift. I mean, there's almost no teams circulating around those facilities of water treatment, just by the edge of it, so that allows for esports to have a lot of room to play with. That's good notion for them, who has been really climbing up the charts from that previous game, securing a top 3 finish, double digits of elimination points. Lampard Esports also wasted no time to secure themselves a hot location, getting not only the vantage point, but also a compound to work around with it. FaZe Clan finds a little bit of bump in against Mark, one member down from the side of KN. While they're not going to be stopping their tracks for ending at all, they've already lost QE in the mix of the process, so they will just want to secure themselves a good spot to play out the end game around the water treatment area while Vampire Esports are going to do the same, but I believe there's a member of BTR around that vicinity, so they have to be very mindful wherever they turn.
Since we have BTR on screen, dropping in a fun fact, the last time it was Kent, it was actually Federalis. So if I were to guess who Kent is, it is Federalis himself. So who knows? Who knows? I'm just putting it out there.
It could be very well the case. Well, he's been a staple ever since he transferred from Harame Bros. And now they can get the full glimpse of the entire squad of BTR, damage being done, and Vina has been able to put some damage through. He looks very, very oddly familiar. I just couldn't really bring that name out of my mind just yet. But of course, the fans of the Vampire Esports team could definitely tell us who exactly that is. Now, Mela kind of lost his glasses. I believe he might have actually got some LASIK treatment, as he's looking absolutely sharp on his profile picture. Now, at least we have a hunch of who those members are coming from Vampire Esports. We see Schweppes, we see, I believe, well, that's not exactly Vintorius, is that?
I guess that Vinajaya, yeah, that's Vintorius there. But for BTR, absolutely no idea who's who. No Nampun, Kyorin, Azaphobia. They don't even have their pictures up here, so yeah, I can't guess unless we're a fly on the wall where they're screaming right now.
Well, too bad I didn't pay a visit onto the gaming house as of late, so I could have actually dig for some intel if I knew any better. But take a look at the zone. I mean, D Savior, they're coming up in late, but even later than that is Alpha 7. Take a look how far they are. They're still stuck inside of El Pozo. They got a long journey ahead. Maybe this might work out if all the other teams have already traversed all the way into this hardship. It's going further onto the outskirts of Cruz del Val. And look who's there. D plus Kia, they booked themselves a prime location. Can't really say the same about whoever's over on the west or even the south side. There's going to be a lot of these fights coming by the end of stage 3.
Quite a crazy hard shift again for this circle. The Vikings, guess who came out on the board? Mr. Superman that took out a player of E Arena, now leading them with 2 active players, and looks like they're in the fight here. Turning K now down on the ground, leaving only 4, 5, 6 alone here, and Superman knows exactly where he is. That one nade put his health down to 50%. If Superman can land this one more nade, the splash damage should be enough to finish him off. It did connect, but not enough damage, and here comes Break from the side. There goes. It is at the end of the day, Superman that landed the final blow. E Arena from a solid start to an elimination.
The Vikings are looking super clean today. I mean, take a look at that. 3 points without much of a scratch, and now Kent is going to be down. We can assume that's Federalis. The Vampire Esports so far looking better and better each step of the way, withering down all these units. One more off of the side of BTR. They do claim the high ground, but what could they make good use of this? Because we last saw these Vampire Esports have been able to track the entirety of their position. It's just that they're not going for a closer just yet. Ansys is about to do that. He's going to be moving over onto the far flank, hoping to find some of all these angles to clip against the rest of BTR.
Note that Vampire, they're playing without Tony K, their star player. Asaphobia needs time to heal up. Ventorius will be gunned down by Nodambe. Asaphobia down to the ground as well. Siege down by Vampire Esports. Mela here in a 1v1. But his teammates is on the other side. Here comes the other player of BTR on the outside of this wall. 2v1, 3v1. They should have the numbers against them. And BTR eliminated by Vampire Esports.
Great damage being done from the member of BTR, but just not quite enough to really settle it with a very well-coordinated ambush coming in from those members of Vampire Esports. They gotta quickly revitalize themselves because that zone is already closing in, and plenty of teams are currently getting clipped. One of them includes Horror Esports right now. Outside the zone, Noel now being pepper sprayed from the top of the kill. Tins! Making it hard for him. Noel tries to cook up that grenade into perfection. Oh, bullets ready from a
Whoa.
and he still managed to connect it. Unfortunately, he will be down. KF salvaging whatever's left out of that scuffle. MVKE now tries to go in for that full revive and to continue on with the battle. We gotta do it real quick. Woonty also joining the fray. Blue squad slowly getting wintered down one after another. They should be able to pick up those points eventually as they have been suppressed for esports. They're now zoning out the entirety of DX. How much damage can No Fear do?
Oh, a lot more fights happening elsewhere. Look at the elimination feed going crazy. Baseland and Vampire Esports in the fight, and looks like Vampire just got eliminated. Number 12 with 5 elimination points for them. And D Xavier, heavy casualty on their side as well. One player still down. And they're out in the open. Horror Esports right in front. We have No Fear here. Scoping down. Hoping for them to land into his crosshair. Sleepy gets gunned down. While D Xavier, they're trying to recover. But it doesn't help that the fact that the zone is now on top of them.
Arjun so far looking super sharp so far. At least that buys them a little bit more that the room as well space. Levi's now needing to heal up as in the nick of time. He will be able to clutch it with that first aid kit. Oh, thankful enough that now he gets a glimpse of No Fear as he's sending 2504 up the hillside. Damage being done. No Fear not quite enough to get the knock over on the corner. So it's going to be a 2 versus 1. How much damage can No Fear do right now? As Levi's hoping to at least block some of all these vision control coming in from that member of Horror Esports. And he's still going to propel up ahead. There's no way to go out of this field other than to fight his way out. 2544. Trying to actually fend him up, but he goes down instead. No Fear! What was that?
Okay, even though pressure by the blue, even though on the lower ground, but still able to secure that one elimination point. No Fear, he has the 3 verses, but he won't have the time to heal up right now. He has to get Levi's, and he will! No Fear still got him, despite he will go out to the blue, but still, he took out the Xavier.
Wow, that was huge. And just like that, it crumbled out the Xavier that was expecting him to be over on the corner, and just like that, that last stand played out to perfection. No Fear at least puts a dent to their run. While Faceland are tagging on to those members of Claw Slayers. Only Bubble left over onto the other sector while these two members are on the lower ground. And look at the other far end. Pepank is going to be trying to find a little bit more of a salvage point just to suppress Chopper at the moment, or else the two members of Claw Slayers will slowly bleed out to death. So Blaze Clan holding them hostage. It's like, if you really want to go for the save, you gotta fight this for it.
Claw Annie, are you walking? Are you walking, Annie? Clearly not walking. He's crawling right now because he needs his teammates to heal him up. Bobo Hood, IGL goes down, leaving only Pepank alone. And Annie, are you walking? You're walking back to the lobby. Unfortunate for them, Face Clan will not let them go. And Pepank now 1v1 against Canary, while the other members of Face Clan coming in. They still don't have the zone. The circle shifts away.
Well, I'm not gonna say that there. You've been hit by a smooth Face Clan.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Just like that, 9 points on the table right now for the Thai squad, as this has been their best run in Miramar so far, and we're not even closing in just yet. 8 more teams remain. B7 trying their best to sustain Wall Chopper, getting ambushed as the rest of Blue Squad arrive from the other side. KF now hoping to secure it, should be able to seal the deal. Stickley also landing a little bit of a hand. The rest of A7 has also gotten themselves a little bit of a crease for them to work with. So this three-way battle commences, but it's going to be a little bit of a hold coming in from all three of them for the moment. Canary closes in the distance, while KF hoping to go in for a huge challenge. He will get a shot out of the DBS, and just like that, he will try to dance it off, but Canary is just way quicker than him.
There goes KF contra our ex-colleague from EVOS.
Oh,
wow. Eliminated. Yep. And in case anyone doesn't know why they have that Power Ranger with respective colors, it represents the X team. Just saying. And KF, he has the Blue Ranger because he was ex-EVOS. And that's how they kind of coordinated the colors.
Oh, I remember that interview very well, and it's a nice touch coming in from the members of Blue Squad. You know, like they have the quirkiest of jerseys as well as merch, and everybody wants to get their hands on that. But right now, they got to do a little better, or else it will affect their sales. While KN looking for a challenge up against the rest of FaZe Clan. Lots of huge names being popped right up. Tamra soaking a bunch of it at the very same time. So it's really down to Finale if you could actually find an opening right at this moment. Red Bull, who's played in multiple regions right now, fending him off just fine. Liking this iteration of FaZe Clan so far. They've been looking rather solid, but I want to see a little bit more feistiness coming out of them. But right now, with two members, they're still doing plenty of damage up against KN, getting the first knock. Finale holds through the doorways. Greeted Red Bull, and just like that, Canary goes in for that refract as well. All down to Canary as he will secure 12 points for FaZe Clan, and he can clip this. This will be more, but it's Ozzy-san that closes it out for FaZe Clan.
I wonder if his name is actually Ozzy, and you know, San is like a Japanese thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ozzy-san, you know. Get it?
Could be. I mean, I know that Oji-san is like grandpa. I don't know if Ozi-san means anything.
Maybe grandchild. I don't know. I'm just saying.
Could be. Granddaughter. I don't know. Teaching some Japanese right now. But Noble. Beautiful angles. Catching out that member out of Alpha 7. And right now, getting a good toss of the nade, but that is quickly suppressed by KN from above.
And D plus Care, they have to save Nobu, their MVP player. He will be picked up by Osal. While Ozzy-san and Tamra still need to find their way into the circle. 30 more seconds before the zone starts to close, and the blue will put pressure on them with D plus Care blocking their entry in. They still have a choice of rotating down south. Ozzy-san's up on the hill, and I believe Tamra is the one on the southern side. Oh no, Tamra is the one behind. So even if they rotate down south, there will be another player waiting for them.
True enough, and Senna cheekily hides right behind that monster truck. So as you can see, a couple of all these members of A7 is actually into the zone already. Or should I say that's actually the E plus Kia currently with their split going on. And it's definitely going to be tough for Senna to get anywhere, but perhaps he could be the thorn in the flesh up against both D plus Kia as well as KN over onto the hillside, where I understand why exactly they did not try to go for that deep dive, because there are open angles coming in from the south that might just see them getting clipped by other teams at the very same time. As you can hear from quite far, Superman again, this time catches Tamra.
Superman, still with the cape, still putting in a performance for the team. And look at this. This time, the Vikings currently at 6 eliminations, top 6, doing not too bad. And the difference between this map and the map before this is that they still retain 3 players. Who knows they can come up with the chicken dinner this time. But D plus Care still with the full squad, now trying to block Alpha 7 from coming in. Alpha 7 only has this one player. Nobu has it on crosshair. Not able to hit the mark yet, but still not in the zone. Tins shows up to finish off Ozzy-san.
Beautiful work with the grenade. But they're also running low on those utilities right now. Plenty of open space. Senna now goes for the Hail Mary, and he's got nowhere else to go. Nobu quickly gets him tagged up. There goes Alpha 7. 7-9 has been rather quiet throughout the match, and somehow they're still within the top 4. 4 versus 3 on, well, 4 being BK, and the rest having 3 members as a unit right at this moment. D plus Kia in the mix of it to try to fight for that space in between up against the rest of these members of Vikings. But when exactly does Semline wants to join into the fray, we'll have to see. Tins leave spots one location out of the members of D plus Kia, also currently stuck. Nowhere for him to run, while the rest of D plus Kia with this widespread is currently holding down 7-9, which is why we don't really get to see them.
Oh yeah, we haven't get to see Sem9 on screen, and now they're in the top 4. Okay, it could be one of the teams that might score the chicken dinner now. But the competition is going to be tight here. I mean, we're talking about now in the top 4, including Sem9. It's going to be D+ here. The Vikings right here with Superman taking a lot of damage, gunned down by Fabian himself. They go from the side. Sees 2 targets. Tins might be the next one to fall. Brick behind him, providing extra cover fire, and Fabian has to fall back.
Only so little health left. At least he's got a little bit of backing coming in. While Break pulls down the fortress, it does take one down with the form of Nobu. And now Tins tries to go in for a quick recovery, but he has to run back in the smoke because Fabian is right through his crosshair. And right now, running in with only 1 HP, not quite enough to suppress the rest of D+ Kia. They move deeper into the top 3, and the streak once again right now could be in the works for D+ Kia.
And look who's playing for Sem9. It's the legendary Man Farang behind that rock. Let's see if we can put in his experience with the rest of Sem9. Trexie takes down a player of RRQ, finished off by Yumeko. Where it is? Oh, it's Mika. Mika is Yumeko. And now with the nade by Mika onto the other side where RRQ is at. His nade will not connect, but that's okay. He still has 3 other frag grenades. He's going to lob the second one onto where Lapar is.
We're also having Yumiko getting a little bit of airtime while Manfarong having a little bit of a tussle right there. Yumiko goes down to the hands of Ossel. Genfoss now having a little bit of dip as they're waiting for these two to conclude the battle. Well, only down to Manfarong out of retirement and straight
to
the head of Fabian. He's still got it after all these years. And right now, Manfarong still in trouble. Damage being done from the side of Ossel, and that should just do enough to suppress them. And now, RRQ in danger. D+ Kia hoping to seal the deal with a chicken dinner of their own here in Miramar.
One more to go for D+ Kia to secure it. They're currently at 8 elimination points with all their players intact. Here is Lapa with his last ditch attempt on D+ Kia, but from the lower ground, it's going to be very difficult for him. As a D+ Kia with a rampage, 10 eliminations will bring home chicken dinner number 2.
Just beautiful. Simply lovely work coming out of D+ Kia, where you saw they were just having great spread of position, and they just worked all together to just deny any form of space coming from the top side of the kill into the mix of all these bloodbath across the field. A lot of these names listed on the feed were of D+ Kia's names, and of course, that's all thanks to Ossel as well as Nobu putting majority of the damage.
Oh, and look at the amount of eliminations by them. Ossel came in with the most eliminations, 4 eliminations for the team. But they came up a little bit late. I predicted them in game number 1, and now game number 2 they scored a chicken dinner, but that's fine. Yeah, I'm warming up myself, just like how D+ Kia is warming up. And second game here, chicken dinner, surely they will retain their number 1 spot for sure, especially with the amount of eliminations that they got. At least 20 points for D+ Kia.
That's right, and of course, they will be uncontested at the top with this result. So D+ Kia so far is really rocking a whole lot of all these feistiness when it comes down to how they've been able to play some of all these high ground terrain, and it's just so tough to actually contest. You saw those positions coming in from Sem9. They were suppressed. They were not allowed to enter the zone for a very long time. Even Genfoss and the rest of RRQ, they had to find a dip to work with, and D+ Kia, they just knew that all the advantage was theirs for the taking. While FaZe Clan has really shown up with those massive results. Last we saw, they were being ambushed from multiple teams, but yet again, they still prevailed and scored quite a hefty amount of elimination points to book out. And of course, Superman. Vikings so far looking super hot today, all thanks to the heroics of that individual.
Yep. The frontman himself, Ossel. Well, not that frontman, but you guys know what I'm talking. Maybe he is, you know. I mean, does have a little bit of resemblance. Just saying. Being compared again with the man of the hour for the Vikings, Superman. 4 eliminations for Superman by himself. And note that the Vikings did not score the chicken dinner. They did come close, but without scoring the chicken dinner, Superman is still able to bring in 4 eliminations for his team. This guy is showing some level of consistency today.
Yeah, at this rate, if you have Superman working like this, I feel like they don't really need those chicken dinners so long as he's always in his prime form. But the MVP of this matchup is Canary. You take a look at the amount of damage he's done. 5 eliminations secured and on top of damage, and he just does it all. And this name may be foreign to some of all these guys internationally, but he's been the leader of this newly formed FaZe Clan with some of the ex-members of Asia Esports, and I start to understand why do they play around him.
Yep, and besides Canary that put in a performance to be the MVP, Superman again, of course, up here, and Chopper from FaZe Clan also up here as well. So we have 2 representatives from FaZe Clan here in our top performance chart, followed by Osal from D+ Care himself. 4 eliminations for Superman, Chopper, and Osal. But what differentiates them is the amount of damage output. So that's kind of like the tiebreaker between these players to decide on who is ranked at what place if they have the same amount of eliminations. And it's quite clear that Superman is still putting in the work for the Vikings, bringing them a total of 11 points.
Yeah, and as they continue to trap, I believe they will still surge up in position, because the last we saw, certain teams, they're sitting out of this run inside of Miramar, so you don't have teams like Void Donkey to also challenge that statement at the very same time. So, but you gotta say it's huge improvements coming in from RQ, Sem9, and also for their debut run today, Vampire Esports as well as Kinotrove walks away with those 5 points. But massive numbers coming from our top 2 squads here. While we take a look at the rest of these extraordinary numbers, what's impressing me so far is not exactly the longest elims, but the 14 amount of headshots that we're getting so far today.
Wow, 14 headshots. Okay. That's a number that we want to benchmark against like the other rounds. Another number that I'm interested to see is that how many eliminations. So it's 58 this time. That means there are a few other players, at least 2 of them taken out by the zone. Now with D+ Care, with the chicken dinner, they're back. 90 points in total. They are ahead of the Vikings by 32 points. But we've got to give it to the Vikings as well. 2 consistent rounds. Now they're number 2. And like what you said, right? With that kind of performance, they don't really need a chicken dinner. And they're up there.
Yeah, and after this, I believe MVKE might be taking a little bit of a short break, just like what D+ Kia has been doing as well. They're kind of stuck in the same group, so there's going to be a whole lot of DK versus MVKE, so to speak. So we'll have to keep our eyes peeled out for that as we move into our next map of the Wrangle. Now, RQ, also big victors in this round, sees them tie the knots with Nongshim Red Force. Unfortunately for Nongshim, this round they didn't walk away with any points. They crashed out rather early, and even for some of the names like Horror Esports, which we might have actually hoped for some big results, haven't really gotten all too much, but at least that was like 3 eliminations for them. Later on, I believe we'll be joined by A1 Esports in the upcoming match. Talon will also be playing in the upcoming round as well, if I do believe. So look at the rest. I think that Sem9, these 7-pointers, good enough for them to uphold their position. Still a lot more to be done, but it's great to see Manparan back in action.
Yeah, with old man Manpa playing in this round, 7 points, knocking on the door right now to be on page number 2 at least. So Sem9, at least a good start for them. They'll be playing the next round, so it's a chance for them to prove the level of consistency that they will bring to today. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be Group B versus Group C, and Group A, they're going to take a break. Just like us, we're going to take a short break, but do not go anywhere. See you guys after this.
Welcome back to the Ruthless Invitational Showdown as we're diving into Game 3 shortly of our second day of the playoffs. If you guys missed out, we've already got Alpha 7 and also D plus Kia to be our victors for the past two matches. Round 3, who exactly will it be? Let's find out in a short moment in time. So, Cloud, we've seen a lot of explosiveness coming from all these teams. Now we're moving back into Wrangle with a switch of group. Will that actually change maybe a little bit of the tempo as some of the teams coming from Group Red, they're taking a break?
Yeah. So if you kind of think about it, right, the first two chicken dinners, both of them by Group Red. First by Alpha 7, second by D plus Kia. So Group Red, sitting out of this round, I believe that the other groups will be breathing a sigh of relief. It's like, okay, all right, guys, let's not need to face these powerhouses. Okay, let's play our own game. But whether things will slow down or not, I don't know. Because if you kind of think about it, Group Green and Group Yellow, they have their own hard hitters as well.
Yeah, arguably, I would say that there is no group that is going to be, an easy grouping. But for what it's worth, we're definitely looking at a lot of very noble names coming from Group Red. And look at these current situation. A lot of all these teams right now are playing for, their pride as well as glory of their own respective region is going to put all out in this upcoming round inside of Wrangle. So I believe it's time for predictions once more. Now, look at the list of names coming in, and without the presence of Group Red, this allows maybe a little bit more opportunity for the rest of the field. So who do you actually favor this time around?
Ooh. Starting to it as games goes by, it doesn't get any easier. Let's bring on, for me, the champions of PMCL, the star team of Myanmar, Yangon Galacticos.
I really do like that pick. And I'm kind of going back into, some of the South Asia's finest. And speaking of which, 4 tribes, they're going to be back on the block again. And, last we saw out of the names, I think they've definitely done a really good job. It's just that they got third party in the mix of their action. So 4T will be the team that I'm going for this time around. So want to see if they will be able to fare. And I'm loving for the fact that we choose teams out of each different regions as well. So we'll have to see what exactly will the results be. Now, YG, I think their run so far has been rather impressive when it comes down to how well they've been playing in the PMCL. Burmese goals have definitely given them a run for the money, but YG, I think on the finals, especially on the Smash rule, they absolutely rock it hard, and they've been able to be the best out of the pack for very good reasons.
Yeah, and it was just too bad for Burmese goals that time, right? They were always trailing, and the thing is that they find it really, really hard to score the chicken dinner. It was so difficult for Burmese goals, but they were always very, very close. But at the end of the day, it's Yangon Galacticos. And also, a fun fact for maybe those who did not follow the PMCL, both Burmese goals and Yangon Galacticos, these two teams, they have ex-players from Genesis Esports, the best team in Myanmar. Now, it was, of course, unfortunate that they had to disband, but the players, they found new life in these teams, and they became the number 1 and number 2 top seeding or top place team during the PMCL. So we hope to see more of these teams coming to the PMCL in the future. But Yangon Galacticos, we have to congratulate them as well. It is the first time that this organization hits to the PMWC. So it will be a first new experience for some of the players. I say some because half of them have that experience of playing in PMGC before. But for the others, it's going to be a brand new experience to be playing at a major stage.
Yeah, I think this has been a long time coming for, a lot of all these players of Yangon Galacticos. And, to recall some of the very early days of PUBG Mobile Esports, when we take a look at YG's journey, I think way back in 2020 or even 2019, they definitely had maybe a little bit more of that playtime, but they did manage to make it into the grand stage. I believe the last we saw was runs inside of the wild cards, and it was a very tough wild card run where some of the best names are also on that list. So hopefully this time around coming for Yangon Galacticos, they can actually really put up a great showing, especially with those names that we've just mentioned, like Small, who's been absolutely impeccable. So I'm hoping to see him really proving himself in the world stage, considering that they had their fair share of struggle throughout the course of the year, and right now the faithful, like I say, eventually will be rewarded. Enough talking about all these stuff, while we will now focus on what's ahead of us right now in the present, as we're moving into our third matchup of our evening, as we're going to be jumping into match 9. You guys are watching Ruthless Invitational Showdown Season 11. Sir Cloud, let's get this show underway.
And here is the flight into Erangel. So that's going to be the second Erangel today, but we're going to feature 2 different groups. The groups without chicken dinners yet. So surely we're going to see a new team scoring the chicken dinner this round. While the flight path makes its way for our top players, most of them are from Group A. Like D plus Kia is from the same group as the Vikings, and they are now dominating the chart. Baseland happen to be the same group as them as well. So it just shows how stacked Group A is.
It really is, and overall, when we take a look at all these names out there, like you have Longship, you have BTR, Boing Donkey, all these heavy hitters out there. As much as Boing Donkey didn't start off on the best notes on one of the rounds that was played out, perhaps this is where they will revitalize, as they will have a early drop moving very far up north, while they're going to be accompanied by another spot also falling into the same direction. BTR is usually moving around that school sector, aiming to get themselves that apartment. So if they were to fend off against Group Red, you have a couple of problems when they actually face off, because names like DK will always be in around the vicinity of school. But take a look at the circle. We are getting that 50-50 split. Mainland as well as the island. APG having a decent opening, as they are the only ones in the island.
Oh, wait a second, Contra. We don't get to see this off, but the team challenges Xavier inside of Pachinki. Xavier fights back. It's going to be Kindertop Gaming. Very, very bold of them to take this fight. Tamra has that advantage with the barrel, getting his knock. Now, Xavier, only one player left, 2-5-0-4. I guess they didn't expect that, because always teams give respect to Xavier and Pachinki.
Yeah, that's true, and I think like a couple of disciplinary certain altercations that does happen from time to time up against the Saber, because everybody wants the best start possible inside Pachinki. It's in the center of the field, but KN starting off in such a good note, now sees the advantage, rushes up forward, Finale could not get the finisher, and now down to OG-san, does not really have to help, down to 1 versus 1, 2-5, or clutches it for D-Savior.
Well, it just shows that Xavier is still the king of Pachinki. Do not challenge them in their home ground. 2-5-0-4, the mysterious player, not only pull up a clutch, but he'll be the one to save a Paragen. Xavier. Kings of Pachinki now with 2 active players. But on the overall charts, looks like E-Arena, they entered a early fight and lost 3 players.
Wow, and I believe that is towards the hands of Blue Squad overall, as they've gotten those 3 points in hand. So, as much as, us missing out some of all these advancements, I believe what really went on was maybe, those usual contests for vehicles that somehow goes wrong, or they were also doing exactly the same, just like what KN did to the Savior. So they lose out a chunk. Now, only with 1 player left, I wonder how long can he actually last out. Now, look at the rest of the field. A1 Esports. I think like they've been able to at least do decent work back in the first day. Currently sitting at number 16 at the borderline, and I think like the last they played out, they didn't exactly score as much as they intended to. So hopefully this is a recovery round for the rest of A1.
Yeah, for A1, by the edge, still all right. As long as you're in the top 16 is fine. But of course, last we checked, Sem9 is knocking on the door with a decent performance in the Miramar match. Especially with Manpa showing his experience leading the team to a top 4 in the previous round. So they're only 1 point away from A1, so they have to keep the pace up here. But E-Arena Joker is trying to keep the pace up for his team, knocking down Noel, finishing him off. So that's one player of GLU or Glue Squad eliminated. A bit of a revenge arc there.
Yeah, interesting enough on how they've been able to at least go eye for an eye. And Joker, he's still not really letting them off the hook. He's always tracking onto these members of Blue Squad, and at least he's got a decent compound to hold out for the moment. 4 tribes traditionally has played out around that very pier. And this is a great start for them, right? Because the last we saw, the circle was around the mainland as well as the island. So I believe all eyes are going to be at 4 tribes. How well will they actually work this one out? As majority of all these teams are still trying to figure out where exactly should they go from here on. The rest of Glue Squad right now infiltrates the compounds where Joker's currently at, and this is a very, very cheeky angle that Joker's holding out. So Glue Squad, they just gotta be very careful on where they actually step up ahead.
And Joker, the villain of his own universe, will be facing off the heroes in another universe here. This is a multiverse that we're talking about. The Blue Ranger and Yellow Ranger, Hexas, who are sharing the same compound as Joker, while Xbox, the Green Ranger, on the other side. And Hexas, together with KF, it's going to be a 2v1, but Joker, he does have a 3vs. But somehow KF, he decides not to pursue. Oh, but they found Joker. Okay, that's E-Arena out. Looks like he will be taking the last lap in the lobby.
Yeah, at least he's been able to bring 1 point back before, being closed in. So A1 Esports this time goes on chase, goes up against Kent, runs into a tiny haystack, and that stops him on his track. Sinister still carrying it forward, but he's hoping to eventually choke off some of all these positions. They're hoping to claim this farmhouse for their own, or to make it a pit stop. Hitman's going to do exactly the same. So BTR just slightly late into the scene as they kind of wanted this space for themselves. Kent right now looking for the hillside. This is the usual settlement if you do not secure that farmhouse. So I would think that BTR, this is going to be a good stronghold for them for that late game run, because last we checked, this is very well close to the center of the zone.
There's one unless though. Unless if the circle pulls all the way down to mid to the base, then it will be something. But Sinister has sinister motives here against BTR. Long range almost got that elimination, but he failed to secure the point, so they will not be pursuing it, I guess. Unless if Sinister really wants to go for it. Okay, he really, really wants that 1 point, but by the time he arrives, that one player of BTR will be back up again.
Yeah, very risky maneuver. Sinister at least gather a little bit more intel, and he's really putting his body on the line. Damage to be done over on the side of Curian. Well, he's trying to defend himself, but he puts himself in the middle open, so that vehicle will be slowly spreading apart. Damage still being done out here. The rest of A1 needs to suppress the rest of BTR while Sinister is trying to do all that work. Can't now. Erratic sprays, hard to actually catch up against Sinister, but that's all the damage that they will be putting out for now. BTR gets to go on that reset, found themselves a solid old bunker for them to actually take cover from. So BTR feeling rather courageous to go ahead and recommit later on, but because of all those kind of back and forth, you are looking at BTR having some of these vehicles smoked up already, so rather risky. You did mention that there is a potential of that circle going back to the island, and if that's going to be the case, they got to look for alternative vehicles, and I don't think there's plenty to go around in this region.
Yeah, especially at the position that they are at, like it's nowhere near the roads, and that's normally where the vehicles spawn. But frankly speaking, even by now, like those vehicles might be taken, if not tires punctured. We've seen that kind of strategy before. Notice on the elimination feed that Vampire Esports got on the board. So 1 elimination point for them to start off with. Now we're at stage 2. This is where I wonder, right, whether we'll see the circle go down. But Vampire Esports, what we're sure, the Yellow Ranger, Exas, landed the shot with a shotgun. But look at the circle. Military-based circle, let's go.
And not only is it a military-based circle, look at that circle, right? There's about 40% of land available. The rest covered by water, so it's a fight for any kind of space that there is. YG looking for both by the corner pre-boss, while everybody's looking to make an entry by the bridges. So 4 tries, I think that they have overwhelming numbers to deal with at this point in time, as much as they want to secure those plentiful points. I think Alpha Gaming is going to be the one that will be having some grand laughter because they're over onto that built-up bridge, hoping to actually connect a few. Seikao could not handle the jump shot coming out of the member of BPE. Ansys will secure it while Master Smile, he's not going to be going for those bridges. So he takes that boat and safely journeys his way into the island.
Oh, 7-9 took the right bridge, last I noticed, and unfortunately they got eliminated along the way. But more eliminations coming in on the feed here. APG East takes out GK from Team Secret. At Ferry Pier, it's going to be Vampire Esports, the duo that has to do it. But Talon, now we have them on screen. Looks like they were in a fight and Achul went down, but he will be picked up. He will be saved. BTR, only 1 player left and it's going to be Kent. Now, just to give a little bit more clue on whether this is Federalis or not, he's always the final player for BTR back in the PMSL. So with this kind of pattern, that could be him.
Very well, good clues out there. I think like you definitely spot all these kind of trends coming out. Zero's dangerously low, saved by the bell. And Team Secret, words for wear, trying to make their way through, already being clipped by the blue zone as they try to make their way across up against the rest of Alpha Gaming. Which close and personal is really down to Trang here as they're using this vehicle for barely any cover. Trang goes down! And oh, Doc! He's always pulled up clutches like this time and time again. And right now, he's so far solidifying that position. He's going to go even closer up against those members of Team Secret. He does not care if he slowly bleeds out so long as he takes out Team Secret with him.
Well, that's APG for you, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the last remaining land on the main peninsula might be taken away in the next circle. We get a confirmation, and it pulls all the way down south where Youngo Gaidagos is at. Look at how many teams are at Ferry Pier. We have at least 3-4 teams there.
You know, the biggest winner is going to be the blue zone. By the end of that stat, I think like there's only probably 40 kills that's being claimed throughout the entire run. So far holding down the line, not allowing Team Secret to pass at all. And I don't think that Alpha Gaming can afford to stay far too long because there's barely enough room for them to actually hold out. A1 Esports going for the scuffle, and I believe all these teams desperate, scrambling for whatever points, and Death Door with that grenade, he's going to slowly bleed out. He's on the last stand up against Talent, and it's not going to be enough for him to hold out.
And here comes the spray here by Hitman from the side. And Hitman living by his name, but oh, he has to be extra careful right now. He's being hit back. Lots of damage out to him. The rest of A1 going to rush in on to Yoru from Talon. We have Sinister here in the same compound. While that's happening, Team Secret just got eliminated, number 12 with 3 elimination points. Here comes the rest of A1 to provide extra cover to Sinister. So Yoru has to be prepared to clutch this one with his S12K.
Enough space for him to work with, only the stairwells for him to hold out. I believe there's still a couple of throwables that they can work with to flush Yoru out of position. They're matching this very carefully though, as Yoru buying just about enough time. The blue zone's already coming right through. 4 times, they're also not looking to let them off easily, and that's 1 member down. Yoru doing decently so far. Still has 3 more first aids, pops 1, and quickly as it goes knocking onto the corners of the window, and we'll be able to find 1 back. But just like that, he kind of reveals his location, and that allows the rest of A1 to trade right back.
And now A1 now locked in with 4 thrives, but they do have the option of forcing themselves past the bridge, assuming that nobody's at the bridge at this point. But we'll find that out later on what their decision is going to be. But if they get the chance to secure those elimination points out of 4 thrives, why not? Now Rowdy tapping away from afar, and he got his target. Doxy will go down. Doesn't help that the fact that the zone is closing, and he should arrive on the 4 thrives anytime soon. Here comes Boom Esports, Mastery showing himself up, taking out Parage in the final play of the Xavier, eliminating them. But they got fired back immediately.
Mastery, he goes down. He was trying to heal up, and look at how many sharp eyes there were coming from A1 Esports. Now they've been able to pave their way through. Hitman's gonna take this advantage, crashes right through the smoke and into the crosshairs of Yummy. Once again, Yummy, a masterclass performance on those CQCs. It's down to Sinister to really close in upon him. No vision whatsoever. He goes in for the white wrap. Nobar pulls out the S12K. He has to now bring out the M4. Yummy now seizing this opportunity, tries to go the other way around, finds the target, and now gets more points back for Booby Esports.
Okay, so Yummy did it, but they're not out of it yet. Deathstorm is on the other side. That's a 4 first aid, so he can still tank out this blue. Yummy will finish off Sinister. Boom Esports now at 5 elimination points, but Yummy gunned down by Rowdy. On the other side of the bridge, time for A1 to move in. The blue is just too much for them to tank.
Yeah, look at how desperate they are. They're just bringing in those bandages, and you still have Zero, who's made his way across. Yummy will not be safe for sure. Boom Esports, we're down to only 1, but at least they could play for whatever position. They're already in the top 8. Look at how many teams that has bowed out, and this is only stage 4. A1 Alpha Gaming, and so far is the biggest victor because they are the only ones that move into the island off of the first the parachutes. So right at this moment, Alpha Gaming using that to their full advantage, going up against the rest of Boindonkey. Great trades. Lazarus getting soaked a little bit. Rizak gets a hold for his own, but Boindonkey is only relying on their MVP right now in order to keep themselves afloat in this match.
And we got Lazarus, aka Schweppes, here together with Onzens in the middle of the circle, so they should be fine when the next circle shifts, as long as no other team crashes onto them. Rizek takes the active approach of trying to blow up the hovercraft. Although hovercraft looks very tanky, but it's actually not that tanky. It's still blowable. And there goes the hovercraft. But the good thing about the hovercraft, of course, besides it able to like drive across water, it's also well protected. So that's why the hovercraft meta is well used by Claw Esports during the PMSL. But now without the hovercraft, Vampire Esports, they will need to depend on their own without the extra vehicle. Here comes Dongshin Red Force, defending the ground against APG. They got East. Doxy countered back by Zul from a distance.
Well, I never thought I'd see the day it's Doc versus Doc, but it's going to be Zio there, pushing them with a grenade. Just like that, wipes out Noxian Red Force, showing them who is the real alpha in this match. So, Doc, the other one, so far, looking well and alive, and not only that, driving with 4 points under his belt, while, of course, Noxian Red Force have only secured 3, and at least they walk away with 1 placement point at 8th spot. And Vampire Esports, happy enough to share a little bit of that space with Razak for the moment, as they're a little bit more cautious about who's over onto the far corners of the hill, because they heard some of all the engines running, and Boom Esports doing exactly the same, as they're hoping not to be rushed by either side of the party. Decent amount of space for the rest of the East field to actually work their way through. A1 Esports by the very far corner. We'll see whether they will be able to benefit from this, but apparently not. It's actually Boindonkey as well as VPE to share that space. And, well, speaking of Boindonkey, that member disappeared. I believe Razak is already out.
I'll be keeping my eye on to Doc now. Observer has the same thought, as he is outside on the edge of the blue. knocked down from afar. Now it's only Zero left, and he's kind of far away from his teammates. So to save him is going to be pretty difficult. It's going to be quite impossible for him to leave his comfort zone within the circle to go all the way out just to save Doc, putting himself in danger at the same time. So he'll have to let that one go. And Hexas confirms the elimination. The Yellow Ranger now at 3 eliminations.
So far, Glue Squad has been looking absolutely impeccable with their aggressive approach. From the early game to this point hours, they got themselves decent ground control. Zylo getting zoned out, and that grenade through the plane! I don't know how on earth did he predict that, but that is just out of this world. Blue Esports looking for a whole lot more. 7 points right now. 3 members strong. They could easily challenge for the top position. The other spot with this amount of strength is going to be YG from the other corner, which you predicted them to thrive. And thrive they are currently doing right now as they pinned out one member out of Blue Squad, Xbox, out of the match.
And it's going to be Smile, Mr. Clutchman for Young Radicals securing that elimination point. Young Radicals pretty chill on the southern side of the circle. A1 Esports on the west side with the high ground. But because they're by the edge of the circle, there's a big chance that circle will move away from A1. So they have to be prepared for the possibility of that to happen. But they have space in front of them to move forward anyway. Spot on the members of Young Radicals on the other side, but it's not going to be a big threat to them for now.
Just trying to see if they could just hustle around these teams over on the outskirts and then eventually pave their way into the zone. That dip right in front of them is going to be a very risky approach as they need to find a safe cover eventually. And I'm not too sure where exactly can A1 move to once that stage 5 closes up, but at the very least, stage 6 won't be closing too quickly as compared to, the final couple of zones. So A1, they could still, have a little bit of convoy working out for them. So far, leveraging onto the high ground vantage points that they are currently holding firm to. But by the time it subsides, we'll have to see what kind of major decisions do they make. Zero so far, just making sure that nobody comes into his vicinity over the north to challenge. And perhaps Zero might also need to reposition later on. So down towards what the next zone is going to offer at this point in time. Vampire Esports, I think that they're in a really great zone. All they really have to do is wait for the right opportunities to take out Mernat right here, right now.
But it's not going to be a clear shot for Schweppes from this distance. They do have the circle though, and they are by the crossroads. So they not only have the compound that defends them, but they also have that crossroad that gives them a little bit of an open gap between themselves and also Yangon Galacticos. So it's still a solid spot for them. But if any other team were to move in from the back, then they will be distracted. That could be an opening for Yangon Galacticos. But the pressure is now on the Yangon Galacticos because they don't have the circle. So all Vampire Esports needs to do right now is just to wait and see.
True enough, and at this moment, they're not going to be giving away their position to anybody out there. YG has to kind of make a deep dive into those compounds up front, and that might actually see them challenge the rest of Vampire Esports. But they're trying to see if they could flush out those members out of A1 before making a form of entry. And that's why Schweppes has been locking into that position, because they know that if there's any position that these members of YG needs to move forward to, it's actually towards the rest of VPE. So Schweppes doing such a massive work to really keep them at bay.
And now the zone is closing. Time is ticking now for Yangon Galacticos. Okay, they're deciding on where to rotate. Looks like they're going to take the east entry in, which is a smart move instead of trying to take the frontal approach against Vampire Esports. Okay, Schweppes tries to spray them down, but doesn't have a good angle. And now we welcome Yangon Galacticos into the circle. What a brilliant rotation by them.
Wow, great call from Smile. He's taking the other edge, and just by doing so, I believe they spotted Blue Squad halfway through this point, and then now seeking to eliminate that Soul Ranger that's currently holding firm over onto the hangar. Look at the POV of Vampire Esports as they've been unloading a lot of all these clips, but finding nothing at all. It's been rather difficult. Esports moves out to the open field. That allows Zero to get a couple of all these great angles to work up against them. So this could be pretty much advantageous, but when we take a look at his setup, it's a Groza as well as Scarel. So no weapons, high recoil. He's just got to take his time, align those shots. A1, the problem right now is that they have one vehicle blown up already. They have to rely on the Lambo in order to make their way across.
Well, pretty much they are all in the circle now, so they will figure that out in about 25 seconds when we approach stage number 7. I wonder if it's going to be a hardship or it's going to be a middle-ish circle. If it's going to go to the middle, then Vampire Esports will again have the advantage. But now shifting their attention away from Yaku Radicals, going to look down onto A1 Esports, who's across the road. So if the circle shifts towards the right, A1 will have a difficult time. You're going to get a confirmation. Looks like the circle is still kind of 50-50. The road in the middle. Vampire Esports still with the circle. And let's not forget about the Yellow Ranger Hexas from Blue Squad also in it.
Yeah, he's just going to play it really sneaky. The problem right now for Vampire Esports is they're running low on resources. Look at that. Onsis only got one extra clip to work with on that Scar. And Zero, he's at least getting himself restocked with those level 3 gear. He found himself a care package on the outskirts way early on, I do believe. And he's just gonna make a deep cut right into the zone. And here comes the rival of Yagdog Galacticos. Easy does it. Takes out Hexes off the field.
And they are in the circle. After taking the position of Hexas, it's a decent spot to be in. Potentially, with the spot that they're holding, they could get stage number 8. Now on the other side, movement by A1 Esports. One player sent into the circle while Rowdy is still behind that hill. Not really in the circle, just by the edge of it. So he still has to figure out how to move slightly forward.
You know, Vampire Esports so far knows that they are absolutely boxed in. The only kind of reprieve is that we're looking at YG uninterested in taking that spot because they know that there are players coming in from that direction. Yeah, YG was kind of going for that exchange when YG was on the far south. After this reposition, they're just looking to see if they could just get a better edge of the zone. And once it does confirm that they will have to breach right in the compounds, then only they will take the fight up against Vampire Esports. For now, they don't really have to force the issue. But what I would praise is that A1 Esports, despite all of that ground being lost from the high ground, they're holding firm. They're not suffering all too much of a damage as well coming in from all the other members. And take a look at Rowdy right now. Number 4 on the elimination, securing 3 in this process, in this field. Perhaps a lot more to put up against the rest of Vampire Esports as well. We'll have to see this gridlock coming in from these 4 teams. Zero is just going to play as a thorn in the flesh. He's not spotted by anyone, and it seems like YG is also uninterested to check for the moment. So all eyes are actually on Vampires as well as A1, who's going to be unleashing whatever flurry of attack might just get clipped by a third-partying YG by the end of it all.
Yeah, it has to be A1 now with Rowdy not having the circle, so time for him to move forward. He does have his teammate as a marker, but he does not have that vehicle to follow through. So if he were to move there on foot, then he has to take a bit of risk of being gunned down. It doesn't help with the fact that Vampire Esports know that he's there. We can see that he's ready with his smoke. His one and only trusty smoke. Try to block the view of Vampire Esports and maybe make a run for it onto where Hitman or Deathstorm is at.
Just waiting for the right moments. I believe there's still plenty of all these smokes unused. So A1 could potentially blind out some of all these entry points so that they could just fend off against Vampire Esports, as which some smokes have already been popped up as we're looking at some form of challenge coming from both ends. Schweppes now pushing outwards, and this might be very costly. He's already taking a lot of damage, and he does at least clip a little health bar coming from Deathstorm. YG now will take out the final remaining member of Boop Esports, so only 3 teams left on the block.
All right, this is going to be the final moment soon. Stage number 9, no circle. That's where the zone will close entirely. So it will be interesting, right? If both A1 and YG, they crash into Vampire Esports' compound together, then it will be a sandwich situation for Vampire. But if I were to look at A1 right now, they don't have vehicles. Both of their vehicles now heavily damaged. So the best they could do is to create the smoke bridge and try to make a run across. While, if the timing is right, YG crashes onto Vampire, at least that will create a distraction for A1 to come in.
Yeah, they're so fixated onto Vampire Esports that it allows so much room for YG to extend their position, and the more time to be bought right now by YG, they're just gonna trample over these 2 teams going at each other, but they have other plans. It's gonna be Schweppes getting that nade onto Romeo Boy. Master Smile right now also getting bombarded at the same time. A1 Esports, they're going prone. And how much time could they actually use right now? 2 members down from the side of YG. Vampire Esports looking to cut this one out. Bernard also spotted out, and it's still gonna be Schweppes doing a chunk of damage, but he does not outlast A1 Esports that takes the chicken dinner home.
Whoa, okay, after that distraction by Young Radicals onto Vampire Esports, A1 Esports, they timed themselves well. They came in towards the end to land the final blow onto Vampire Esports. A1 hailing from Bangladesh, ladies and gentlemen, with the chicken dinner.
Impressive work. We talked about how challenging it was. They didn't have the zone in their favor for most part, and they played their cards right. They were going prone for a little bit, and when the moment mattered most, I mean, Schweppes kind of changed his direction of where he really wants to focus on. He managed to get those 2 knocks onto YG, and that is the very reason why Vampire Esports kind of focus fire on their side and allow A1 Esports just enough space to trade back down to 1 versus 1, and that was huge work from Rowdy.
Yeah, I would say that they overcame the odds to score the chicken dinner. The circle kept going away from Rowdy especially, and they were across the road. Right in front of them was Vampire Esports, and if Vampire Esports was not distracted by Young Radicals, they would have little to no chance of crossing that road. But thanks to Young Galacticos pushing in first, distracting Vampire Esports, and that's where they found the opportunity to move in and close up the game. Gotta give it to their timing. Their timing. They really know when to execute what to bring the chicken dinner back.
It was absolutely perfect. I mean, A1 Esports overcoming all these obstacles and getting themselves the first chicken dinner of their own survives their standings, and I believe that this should be sufficient for them to secure a better placement into the top 16. So that's it though. VPE came super close to this one. APG, they were not within the top 4, but what they did was they were camping out those bridges. They were putting a dent onto Team Secret, onto the rest of the teams that were coming in from Milta. And by doing so, they have just gotten just about enough wiggle space to also play out a little bit of that late game. But just like that, YG, I thought YG had all the advantages, but the moment where Schweppes landed that grenade, it kind of crumbled from that point onwards.
Yeah, I thought so as well because they had the numbers, right? But A1 was the one that had the last laugh. So we're going to compare Deathstorm from A1 with East from Alpha Gaming. So East, wow, most of the stats do favor him. 4 eliminations, 889 damage, and a team contribution of 44.44%. Although they weren't in the top 3, but APG looks like they did decently well here. It's going to be interesting to see how many points they collected in this round as compared to A1.
I believe a lot of the damage was from the bridges, where I remember seeing East directly in the middle of the bridge, not even looking for cover. He's just literally raw aiming at all these teams that were driving past him. So that's it, though. Rowdy has been offering clutches after clutches for so many times, and this time emerges as our MVP of the ending that we just saw in South Sanaska military base. So impeccable work rate, 55.5% contribution of what he's been able to bring back to A1 Esports.
Ooh, Rowdy. It's been a while since we've seen him up in the MVP charts. Welcome back. And besides Rowdy himself, East from APG with 4 eliminations, the Yellow Ranger from Glue Squad, Hexas 4 as well, and Doc, we did see him put on a good performance on screen earlier on, also with 4 eliminations. So 2 representatives from APG. It just gives us a clue that APG could have collected a lot of eliminations to place themselves high up there. But here's a confirmation, number 3 with 9 eliminations, bringing them 11 points in total.
Well, there's plenty of all these teams that have been able to really farm high elimination points in this round in order to secure those double digits. Blue Squads, YG, Alpha Gaming, Vampire Esports, and of course our winners of A1 were the grand winners of it all. And we saw a lot of all that scramble on the outskirts, where teams were kind of forced to take on each other because there's just no way into the islands, because 4 tribes kind of blocked it for the most part over on the far west. On the east side, it was Alpha Gaming, and they managed to at least get themselves running for a lot longer compared to the rest of the field. Surprisingly enough, I expected a lot of bodies to drop outside of the zone. It's only 4 players that got claimed. So everyone was working super hard in order to secure all the points that was left in this map.
Yeah, they played their hearts out, right? And like what you said, I thought the same as well, but looks like that wasn't the case. But what the case is that Glue Squad, after a good round, now they're on page number 1, number 8, 44 points. And D Plus Kia, the Vikings, despite them not playing this round, they still hold on to number 1 and number 2 respectively. Yangon Galacticos with another good round here, now at number 4. So that's still a pretty decent run for Yangon Galacticos. No chicken dinner, no problem for them to be at the top 5. Now on page number 2, APG. We have to welcome them now into the top 16, the safe zone.
That's right. As much as we say it's safe, they take a look at the points. They're super close in terms of margins. 27 points for BTR as well as Nongchim Red Force. 28 for Vampire Esports, which we see them move 5 spots up because of this top 3 finish. And when we look into the rest of the field, I mean, A1 deserving of that chicken dinner, at least have a significant gap with that 38 points. Whereas a lot of the teams that were not playing naturally slides downward. So for Esports, will be back in the next matchup to get alongside with RRQ, who will be looking to, of course, knock some of all the other guys who's taking a break. We'll have to see what exactly will be the verdict, including Talent, who's only walked away with single digit for today. So I think that they haven't found rhythm as compared to the rest of the field. So Talent, they haven't shaked off the rust just like how they did back in day 1.
And it was just unfortunate for Sem9. They weren't able to find the level of consistency. Eliminated when they were trying to rotate on the right side bridge. So 0 points for them. They remain on page number 3. But of course, it's not end of the day for them. They still have at least 2 more rounds to go. But before we continue on, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, we'll be taking a short break. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you guys after this break. A1. With phenomenal timing, they scored the third chicken dinner today. But coming up in the next map, we're going to reintroduce Group Red into our lineup again. The group that has 2 chicken dinners today, A, Alpha 7, and also D plus Kia. My name is Circla, together with Contra. Welcome back to the PUBG Mobile Ruthless Invitational Showdown Season 11. What do you make of the first half so far?
Well, the first half definitely has been super exciting with 3 different winners out of all the many rounds that we've seen. And A1, of course, gave us a shock factor by the end of it, the run, because a lot of all that feistiness was coming in from both YG as well as Vampire Esports, and A1 was the one to get the final say. Now, quickly as we get a glimpse of the teams in Group Red and Green, I think I've had a hunch of who I'm voting for next already. So we talk about the stacked numbers of players that are ultra talented, and MVKE. Now that they're back in action with a little bit of break, I'm still hoping that there is a lot of juice left in the tank coming in from those members of MVKE. And I see you put up the purple heart, so I'm thinking you're voting for Horror Esports up next, aren't you?
That's why I put it up first, okay? All right, it's time. It's time for Horror Esports to bring in the chicken dinner. Let's go. Another one for Group Red, maybe? What's on your mind?
Well, I'm thinking Group Red as well. I think MVKE, maybe it's about time that they get a chicken dinner of their own. So, loving the fact that experts are going for Alter Ego, where they've been rather quiet for some of all these runs, but perhaps this is where AE gets to make a splash.
Okay. I do like your pick, though. Solid pick. It feels like the Vikings, they're pushing it. It feels like at some point they're going to score the chicken dinner, and we can see them having the good vibes today, right? With Superman putting in a good performance, and in game 2, the rest of his other teammates also stepping up the game. So this could be the round that they score the chicken dinner. Alter Ego, on the other hand, though, very interesting pick if you ask me, because out of the 2 rounds that they have played, they only scored 1 point. So if they were to score the chicken dinner this round, it's a huge comeback for Alter Ego.
Yeah, I would say never count it outright, because most of the time you look at Alva as well as Rosemary, they're the type that, hey, once they see just about the right timing or just with enough pressure to perform, they come up with those crazy numbers with sometimes even close to 20 eliminations, and that is definitely those kind of possibilities when we look at a squad like Alter Ego. But of course, I'm not fully convinced just yet. Maybe not today. Tomorrow might just be the case coming in for Alter Ego. I mean, there's still a couple more runs to go, so who knows? We're not the experts. Well, we're semi-experts. We're not the expert predictors just yet, because so many of these seasons, they've been able to best us. I'm just looking for my first point. I guess we both came pretty close on that prediction.
Yeah. I came close with D plus Kia because match 1 I predicted them, but they scored in match 2. And in match 3, I picked Younger Gaticos. They got 3rd place, so that was close enough. But you know what? To be fair, no chicken dinner yet on the prediction. That's okay. We still have more games to come, right? So interesting picks here, I must say. Very large dynamics from what I see here from our prediction test here, including from our experts. So it could be anyone's game. I mean, predicting is never easy. We're talking about finding that one team out of 16 amazing teams. It's just so hard.
It is rather difficult. I mean, we take a look at both our picks, right? Horror Esports, when they were playing, that run, having only 2 members to still secure top 3 and double-digit eliminations, wildest. And on these upcoming rounds that even moving into Miramar, I think Horror Esports did decently at the very same time. Now, look at the rest of MVKE. I think like it wasn't purely just Superman that was carrying the weight of on his shoulders. Sure, he's definitely on the limelight, but now that everybody else gets a break, I believe that the kind of amount of burden will be shared in essence, so that things could look a lot cleaner for the side of MVKE to resolve whatever that wasn't fully working to secure the chicken dinner. And I guess like that's the reason why I'm actually going for this pick, where we allow a lot of these teams to make those certain adjustments. And speaking of adjustments as well, when we take a look at D plus Kia, they've been absolutely tearing out all their opponents, and most of the time, when you give them enough space to work out like stage 4 onwards, this team always get to the finish line.
Yeah, they always do, right? So that's why at some point I believe that we'll see them as well. I mean, solid pick overall. If we were to pick another team, right, who might score the chicken dinner, I don't know. It's there's so many amazing teams, right? If I were to pick another one, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Alpha Gaming scoring it, despite them having a very difficult circle in the Erangel match. They had to cut across like that left bridge in, and there were so many other teams there, but they still made it through. They still managed to score a decent amount of elimination points together with it. So they could be another team that potentially can score the chicken dinner if I were to add another one to the list.
Yeah, I certainly agree that is definitely one of the very good prospects coming in from that past group that we just saw really tearing out everybody else. So it really is a big question whether when we move into, say, another map of Rankle and maybe they don't get that island ending, they could possibly struggle as well. So I'm not too sure how it's going to actually play out for these guys out there. But look at this upcoming matchup. I believe we're also moving into Miramar, so definitely a little bit of a change of pace. If RRQ is going to be on board, I think like they are happy to also shred a lot of names out there, which, as much as RQ wasn't really close to a chicken dinner early on, but look at how well they played Miramar. These guys might eventually find a chicken dinner of their own. I'm not too sure if they're currently playing in this group entirely, but of course I'll have to shake off my confirmation in a short moment's time. I believe that currently, as we're waiting for the game to start, we're having maybe remakes of the lobby, or for the players to also get a little bit more adjustments onto their settings before we hit right into the field. So when we take a look at individuals, okay, out of the many, who was the most impressive to you?
Oh, thanks to the stats. This will kind of guide us. Yeah. That came at the right timing though, but this is only for match 9 Erangel. So Rowdy as our MVP, 5 eliminations, and then we had East with 4 eliminations, Hexus, the Yellow Ranger, 4 as well, and Doc with 4. So 2 players from APG up here on the board. But if we were to talk across the entire board, who impressed the most? Well, to me, it's Superman from MVKE. I mean, this guy came up with a clutch, held on to a second place finish, and then in the second game where we saw him play, he's still able to bring in the elimination. So overall, throughout the day, Superman to me has been the most impressive.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. If it's not him, I would go with No Fear. Coming closely on my top 3 will be Sleepy at the very same time. Horror esports players somehow gets to our hearts in one way, shape, or form. But damage numbers wise, look at how close it is between number 1 and number 2 in that last round. East 889 damage, 873 for Rowdy, who's clutching it in order to secure the chicken dinner, and also provided with some help coming from Deathstorm. Onsens was always on the tail of so many of all these players out there. So at least we get a little bit more of that confirmation that, some of all these mix of names that we see on, some of the VPA members, Onsens is also out there. So that being said, we're going to be seeing whether if Vampire Esports can also shake things up a little bit more. How many different hearts do you have prepared out on your screen? I kind of wish I had that kind of prot level brain for me to also do this in between, because that was quick, my guy. He just like have 100 tabs open inside.
But that's not too hard to do. not too hard to do. Yeah. I mean, of course, I'm trying to give my support here, right, to the Purple Hearts because it's in my prediction. You know, it would be nice to get a correct prediction on our first day of casting for this season. So come on, bring out the ball, bring out the ball. But of course, one thing about Hora Esports is that they happen to be in Group Red, and Group A Red as the most heavy hitters of them all. So that's going to be a big challenge. And
True
speaking
enough.
about challenge, since we're heading on to Miramar next, so here's some stats to kind of guide us on who might score the chicken dinner.
Oh, I absolutely love the stats. And so far, the top performer for Miramar has to be D plus Kia. The last they wanted was literally in this map itself. And now that they're back, they're definitely a very scary bunch to deal with. YG is definitely one that we predicted to also have a decent run as they have the highest survival time out of the many. And look at Boing Donkey as well as Four Tribes. Despite them not really having the biggest showing today, yesterday's run, this are some of the biggest results that they've been able to pull through. And, you know, this could be the case where Boing Donkey, they had enough of scoring only singular digits. They want to show up big once more in order to chase up against D plus Kia. And Boing Donkey, so far, isn't exactly sitting comfortably so far.
Yeah, Void Donkey, well, they need to be a little bit more consistent. I mean, we did see them putting a decent performance, right? So consistency has to be the key. Now, one strength of Void Donkey that we have seen them perform in the official tournaments is that they are a very smart team and they have the capability to survive. They know when to take what kind of fights. So I guess that's expected by some of the fans of Void Donkey as well, that they should be able to live up to what they have portrayed on the international stages of a official tournament. But so far, they have not scored their chicken dinner yet. But again, if you think about it objectively, is that as long as you're able to keep yourself in the top 16, it's fine. Yeah, you do get a few starting points in the grand finals, but at the end of the day, it's all about getting into the grand finals first. Then you talk about like, okay, how many points do you get?
True enough. And then when you take a look at the recent performances coming in from Razak, I think last round he's been trying to hold that compound up against Vampire Esports. It was still within the top 5, top 8, somewhere in the whereabouts where they're still kind of playing it really smartly. And that's the thing that I really love about Void Donkey, where sometimes when you don't exactly have the firepower left in certain scenarios, then you got to play on what you currently have available to you, whether it's playing for survival or trying to defend your ground, or if you have to make a last stand, you just got to start swinging your weapons out there in the field. So Void Donkey definitely in a very peculiar position where they've been sliding a couple of positions already. So if they really want big results, they got to try to do things a little bit more differently, where maybe they've been a little bit too passive as compared to what we've seen back in, you know, the first day of action where they've been able to get a whole lot of. And I'm not too sure if they've been fielding Vexy, because Vexy so far has been one of the key players other than Razak that actually allows things to be coordinated a lot more precisely for the rest of Void Donkey. And from the list of names, I don't think I get to see Vexy today.
Yeah, we haven't got to see that. So sometimes we don't know whether like, okay, they are like just trying different lineups or trying to push the limit for some of the other players, giving them a little bit more run out, because this is an off-season tournament, right? So teams might be trying stuff. Just like BTR, we don't know if that is the actual main roster of BTR, or are they trying out players, trialing out players. They definitely have the right to do that, considering that, well, they have a window until the next season. But I heard something from Mission Control though, so I kind of missed that.
Seems like we will have a match to be reused in that sense. So perhaps we might take a while before we get ourselves into the matchup. So
Ah,
hopefully you guys could be patient with us, and we do apologize for any form of delay. While we'll still assure you that we will conclude all the matches within the span of the night. So we thank you guys for joining us with a little bit of our banter in between, and I hope that we keep you guys entertained for the moment. So we're talking a lot about some of our happy favorites for esports, and of course the ones making wave has been Vikings for today. There's also D plus Kia that's still reigning supreme at number 1. Now, this has been, a little bit of those flavors that we're getting throughout the playoffs. Do you expect this trajectory to be the same moving into the grand finals, which is, still a couple of days away?
I don't know. Sometimes the grand finals, you will see a different animal, right? From these teams, like sometimes all of a sudden they will perform just as like a monster. Like you don't expect them to be performing like how they did in the league, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, in the grand finals they truly show up. So it's sometimes really hard to tell. But if we were to look at the current performance, like it's hard to deny the fact that the D plus Kia is performing very, very well. And they are also the current reigning world champions. So if I were to put my finger onto one team on like, okay, who might show up in the grand finals? D plus Kia looks pretty solid. Do you have any other team in mind?
Well, right at this moment, not entirely. So I think APG is definitely going to be somewhere on that list. Like when we take a look at Ruthless Invitational Showdowns for a couple of iterations already, sometimes when the stakes are not too high, they don't really put 100%. Sometimes all they need is just 50% for certain maintenance, and then come grand finals, that's where they start to show you their winning formulas. And I think like it's definitely benefiting for those who can consistently find a win or close to win, whether it's a consistent top 4, and which is why we're bringing up D plus Kia, and for me to bring up APG as well, because we take a look at the track record, whether back in the days as 4 Miracle 5s or so, like these guys so far kind of knew exactly what to do to really close out the games. And now with the format being Smash rules, then these are the teams that naturally will be favorites.
Oh yeah, you brought a good point, right? This season, because we're implementing Smash rule, so even though it's like, okay, you think you're like the top team, but you can't smash it, and then all of a sudden maybe the second or third place team like catch up to the match point, which is only plus 10 points by the way, so that's not that much, and then they smash it, and then it's like, oh, okay, all of a sudden the chart just goes crazy, like just goes the other way around. So that could be a possibility. And I personally do really like the Smash rule. I know there's a lot of debate in the community on like, okay, Smash rule, no Smash rule and all that. But I'm in the opinion of like, well, of course, if the Smash rule hits your team, you would love it. But if the Smash rule doesn't hit your team, then you might not love it as much. So sometimes we gotta like, okay, be able to put that one aside and be objective of like, the Smash rule in a neutral perspective, I think it's really exciting. I think it just opens up a whole new possibility for who might be the champion of a particular tournament.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you, because you take a look into certain patterns. I won't say all of it, where usually it's like a 2-way horse race or a 3-way horse race, and then by the time that come the final day, there's going to be maybe one team that suddenly scores like that 2 chicken dinners, and suddenly you have that giant gap that is unclosable anyways, and every other team was forced to play out the remainder rounds knowing that, oh, these guys are champions already. It kind of takes away a lot of that fun. Like with the Smash rule, nothing is guaranteed. Absolutely nothing guaranteed, where the games can close out, like you said, 2 to 3 matches at minimum. And then, like, if it's going to be a super competitive lobby, you might see it go all the way to the tail end. And then, who knows? Nobody smashes it. And then it still becomes, the traditional rule where the highest earners actually win it out. So I think this is a much more of a fair rule, where you get rewarded based on your merits in that sense where that gives a whole new meaning to chicken dinners already. You ain't say that, oh, some of these teams they walk away with a lucky strike or so. Hey, a win's a win. Like you can't take it away from some of these teams.
Yeah, and the Smash rule was not only introduced like this year, right? Like it was introduced even like not introduced like in the recent season, but it was introduced during the let's see here, the first half of this year during PMSL Southeast Asia at that time. And after trying out the Smash rule, the players, they generally do enjoy it as well. So I guess that's also an indication that at the pro level, they're okay with the Smash rule. So I personally do like it. I think it brings a lot of excitement to the game itself. Now, we will be starting our match very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen, because we had a lobby remake earlier on. So we thank you so much for your patience. But I'm sure that the moment we begin our official match, which is going to be match number 4 in Miramar, it's going to be explosive. So stay tuned. Based on the rounds that we've seen before this, rounds have been running very, very fast, even though it's a big map like Miramar. So you do not want to miss even the beginning of it.
That's right. And of course, I believe that we'll check on in for even more of the situation right now once we do get confirmation from production. And perhaps by then we'll catch you guys in a little bit more, I guess. Well, we'll have to see about that. So, of course, that being said, just like you and I, well, we're eager to see who exactly will be topping the boards once again. So, look at the current standpoint. Well, guess we do not need to wait any longer. Good news is, 30 seconds from here on, we're going to be moving into Miramar for match number 10. So, I guess we got to take a little bit of breather where we've covered quite a majority of stuff. So looking into Miramar, I think like other than D plus Kia, I'm sure a lot of teams here will be looking to prove a statement of their own as we dive right through.
Well, I wouldn't mind a little bit of that nice refreshing drink that Contra had. I'm sure the teams would like one as well, but they have a game to play and they have to complete this before they're able to pick up their drink. Let's head on to Miramar here. And this is going to be the restart. This is basically the second half of the day. So we're going to re-round robin. Okay, I think there's a better word to that. But re-round the rounds? Okay, basically it's going to be...
Re-round the rounds.
Yeah, re-round the rounds. I think there's a better term to that, but it didn't cross my mind. But anyway, I'm sure you guys know what I mean. It's going to be the first and second group again in this round. And of course, with the presence of teams from Group Red, the powerhouse group, this round is going to be explosive.
Definitely will be, as we are looking at RRQ dropping into Puerto Party. So last we checked in, I believe Alter Ego was rolling in the same direction, got themselves eliminated very early. I don't think that Alter Ego wants to do exactly the same. Therefore, they're moving up into the areas of El Azhar. Now, who's rolling alongside? It's going to be Team Secret moving into Minas Generalis. They could also have a member to be popping by the truck stop if they want, added vehicles to supplement their journey up ahead. Now, take a look at this. Hora Esports, YG, they're pulling upwards, looking for El Pozo perhaps. I'm not too sure if they're going to fend off against each other, but it does allow them to cut right into the third zone, which does favor Fortress and APG down southwest.
Oh, but inside to Macera, two teams. Talent here, sharing the same area as Alpha Gaming. And Talent playing with 4 players this round. Let's start off with the first few bullets on the other side, but nobody got knocked yet. So we're still at 64 players. But Doc took a lot of damage now, 50% of health. And Yoru landed the knock onto East. And Reboy Yaza, okay, whoever that player is, took that point. That's going to be first blood this round given to Talent.
And that's pretty huge if you ask me. Doc does go in for an equal trade at the very least, and Just like that, Red Bull's gonna be another casualty, so that leaves Talon with only 2. He's hoping to actually secure something in return, as it's just gonna be a quick run in just to see if there's gonna be any form of saves. They heard the reloads going through, so Doc, he's just waiting for some backup coming from Refuse. And speaking of Refuse, he's gonna be able to attack him from right across. Talon now, only 1 member set in the way. Now, this is just a notion not to challenge APG, as there's only will be 1 casualty. Doc's gonna be revived at the very least, and this is not settled just yet. Acho now runs out in the open. Rifus now sees him running wide. He's just gonna go in for the chase. Acho gets a little bit of that dip for cover, only with a Thompson right now. Going for a wide swing. Some couple of bullets actually clip over on him. 1 versus 2, not gonna quite cut it. APG secures all 4.
Well, it was a good start for Talon with that first split, but the follow-up by Alpha Gaming, we know the potential of this lineup. So like what you said, it's a signal, it's a sign to not challenge them by them winning that fight inside Chumacera. So Talon might want to consider their drop spot in the next time they meet inside of Miramar. But for today, they won't. The next time around that they will meet will be inside on the map of Erangel, so there will be a totally different strategy altogether. Now that's done and dusted. Now we move over to Alpha 7 and Yangon Galacticos. With Yangon Galacticos getting the first split against Alpha 7, they have the man advantage. But Mernat is caught out here alone, and he will be monitored by Senup.
It's a quiet stare down right now. I believe Senna is holding him by that pillar. He's got no smokes whatsoever to make his journey across. So it's a very, very tough position to be at for the member of Yangon Galacticos. Needing a little bit of helping hand. I believe Master Smile knows that he's currently by the tanks, going on prone, while Senna expects retaliation coming from any direction. So you could absolutely commend how disciplined those members of Alpha 7 is at the current point in time. Squash Blue on the opposite corner also being withheld at the moment. Warning shots sent all around. Well, this is definitely not going to be an easy task to break out of El Pozo. And even worse for where is that member who's still currently stuck. I mean, Mernat, one of the heavy hitters for YG, probably will need to see if he could do something with that AK, or else he won't be even spending time looting it, all being stuck by that pillar.
A bit of a circle update, or the position of teams update at least. Look who's heading towards Chumacera. Voin Donkey passing by where APG is still at. That's another potential clash point. Down south, RRQ is going to take the safest route into the circle. Not going to meet up with any other team. I doubt that the Vikings will be clashing with RRQ, at least for now. But with this kind of circle, I believe that a lot of teams will try to take the high ground as much as possible, especially those teams that rotated early. Because if you get the high ground with this circle, it will give you a big advantage towards the end.
True enough. I was taking a look at the position of all these players out there. I can't help but to notice that Horror Esports have gotten not only a roster shuffle into this match, where they're bringing, of course, very familiar names like Hyde Dami, and Jiggle is back in play, along with a very, very familiar face, which will, of course, will reveal to you in a moment's time. Now, somehow the stare down is not leading up to anything at all. So look at the positioning of those members of Horror Esports. They have one member sent into the zone. The rest are still by the corner of ruins. So it is a good booking of space, to say the very least. And for the moment, say Cloud, Master Smile, at least they have the privilege to loot up. Can't say the same about Mernat, who's currently stuck by the edges. Razak with his furry vehicle goes right into the fields. Now looking for a puncture. Damage being done to Refuse. Beautiful catch. One of the early instances that we're seeing impactful plays coming from Team Secret. Other than that, Team Secret, other than Game 1, has been relatively quiet. Good to see. Great notion from Zeros.
And they start off by eliminating a player of Alpha Gaming. So now Alpha Gaming only 2 players left. Okay, for them to score the chicken dinner is going to be quite a tall order. But we have seen it before. Like some teams in a situation where they only have 2 players, but they are still able to score the chicken dinner. So as long as they're still in the game, anything can happen. Avoid Donkey, great move to avoid Chumacera. Because last we saw Alpha Gaming was there. So they would take the high ground instead. Or the key positions that ideally teams would want to go. And with this kind of key position, they can have a good view of the rotating teams around them and make early decisions before the next circle shifts.
Yeah, well, glad that you actually brought up those points. I mean, 4 Tribes so far has been some of the finest out of South Asia to have great mastery inside these fields, especially when you give them those vantage points. Take a look at Falak and the rest of 4 Tribes. Still within the zone, and to me, I'm just curious as to how the circle shifts all the way over on the south side. Still having a little bit of body of water, so you won't expect a lot of all these players to even consider areas like prison. So up above the hills is where all these teams ideally want to be planned at. Sinister finding one as A1 Esports so far going for those long-range tags. So not expecting to fully capitalize on that. Instead, Yami has been claimed with a grand headshot coming out of DK. Speaking of D plus Kia, this is the current scenario as we look at trades coming from Boom Esports, some great shots coming from Noble, and once again, with a repeat so far, super sharp, super clean, coming out Noble as he's looking for even more.
And looks like D plus Kia still retaining their consistency. Last we saw them scoring a chicken dinner was also in Miramar itself, but of course that was with a different group. But still it's D plus cat, so we cannot write them off. On the elimination feed, looks like your choice. Vikings, Woonty, scoring 1 elimination point. That's going to be a starter for them in this round. Alpha 7 gets Mernat. Claw, Pepeng gets knocked down by Noki, eliminated just like that. Looks like a lot of fights happening elsewhere. 4 Thrives and Claw now in a rough fight.
Yeah, we're starting to see a higher tempo play coming from all these teams because they understand if they were to snooze out from claiming this hill ground, it's going to be a tough ordeal. And 4 Tribes still thriving. Oh, that big swing with impeccable footwork will secure all the members. And that's a total of 4 points for 4 Tribes. And Claw Slayers, they have no answers to that over-aggression.
And Alpha 7 only down to 2 players. A1 getting on the board against Boom Esports. And we have RRQ now on screen against A1 as well. Looks like A1 is managing 2 teams at the same time. 1 elimination point scored by Sinister. And they're trying to score the second one here. As Sinister taps away onto Mastery, aka Misery. But oh, gotta be extra careful. By the side, a player of Boom. I believe that's Zero there that shot Sinister.
Yeah, and it's just a very tight space for some of all these players to play out. Mastery slowly bleeding out. Nothing that Boom Esports could currently do. Hitman tries to look for an alternate angle as he's hiding. The member is hiding right behind those warehouses. Sinister will take that point claim. And just take a look at such a grand position that A1's holding out. How many teams by the outskirts? You got DK, you got Team Secret, and they still have half of the team to be up by the updated circle. Boing Donkey now gets that big benefit.
And circle continues to pull down. There's still a good amount of water. The river is still in the circle. So that means that there's lesser amount of space for these teams to play with. We can expect more fights to happen. As A1 will need to defend their ground against another incoming team. But it looks like they're going to relocate themselves as well. As for 4 Thrives, on the northern side, no circle. They might need to fight their way through FaZe Clan.
Speaking of FaZe Clan right now, they're pretty split at this moment. Canary driving past, trying to gain information onto Naki. While he's holding firm over onto this location, you can see that the rest of these members of FaZe Clan hoping to find a little bit of their angles into breaching into the zone. They really have to find a certain knock upon either members of Four Tribes in order to gain any form of a field advantage into the next zone. Octa, haven't seen him in for quite a while in the form of action, as so far it's been mainly Yummy that's been bringing those points back. Jiggle now goes in for the rescue as Squash Boo out of Alpha 7 have finally taken that claim inside the city of El Podo. Not a full claim just yet, as he's working on to securing Master Small. And I believe that YG, they're kind of all too segregated from the last we checked, which is why some of all these catches have been happening across the field. Alpha 7 have lost so many of their members throughout the exchange as well.
Yeah, and they spent a lot of time just getting that one player of Young Galacticos. But one by one, they dropped while some of them rotated. So Young Galacticos, only one player left. As for the Vikings, okay. You need to manage Alter Ego. I believe that's in front. Okay, that's RRQ managing Alter Ego. They took out the MVP player. The FMVP of PMSL Southeast Asia, Rosemary, fell to the hands of RRQ.
Fair enough, and right now, speaking of RRQ, they're still looking for a whole lot more up against Krypton. While for Tribes as well as Baseland, they go head-to-head. Red Bull pummeling it down along with some help coming from Canary to be able to suppress Falak around the high-end corner of the hill. Now, moving forward, it's going to be a grand hustle coming out. The Four Tribes member looking for the feet. Not quite enough. The Chopper actually gets some help coming from Canary with a drive-by that allows him to get that shot through with a little bit of distraction. Baseland comes up ahead, and still you got T24 finding the catch. An eye for an eye. It's only down to T24 right now. 2 more members remain for the side of FaZe Clan. Now they know where he's at.
Ooh, but look at this circle, Contra. There's still a good amount of water in this circle. Like what? 20%? 30% of it still in the circle? That means that there's like what? 70-80% of land to play, and even that, the land in this circle is not friendly. A lot of hills, a lot of high grounds, a lot of terrains for them to navigate around. It's going to be a very challenging circle for all these teams, especially for those teams who do not have the high ground. But T24 took up the challenge to try to knock down Chopper from afar. He got his target. Now he needs to manage Team Secret, but Team Secret is going towards FaZe Clan. They want to claim those points.
And they do it very easily by just rampaging right through, and just like that, Trang kind of stole away a couple of points out of T24. Nothing that he could do about that, but at least 4 tries, they walk away with 7 points already. Kind of wish they had more. While Team Secret, they're not really taking too long, and now they're hustling through T24 at the same time. He claims one more! Now down to Trank. He's looking for that grenade to be primed up, creating a little bit more of that space. That nade will fall right through, not enough to take him down to 10. It's still looks oh my goodness me! T24! He's about to wipe out the entirety of Team Secret, and that's already a rampage for 4 Tribes.
Just by himself. Now they are at 10 elimination points. We ship over to Void Donkey right now, defending their space against Vikings. And Razak, the final player for Void Donkey now, needs a bit of space to heal up. But he does not have the space. They won't allow him that. Force himself to go into the building, and from the back, it's going to be Tins landing the final blow. There goes Void Donkey at number 13.
T24 have held on for so long, but it was D plus Kia that was the torn on their flesh. 11th placement, but with 10 points. Absolute ridiculous work from 4 Tribes. That's already a chicken dinner by itself.
Oh yeah. And T24, what a performance so far. Now let's see how far they will be able to go in the overalls later on. We still have the big boys here. D plus Care, full squad coming in from the northern side, unchallenged. But everybody wants a piece of the city. Hora Esports with Sleepy here amongst RRQ and APG. But we're only at stage number 4, Contra. There is a chance, there is a possibility that the circle will shift away from the city.
I mean, right now, at least they could kind of bank on hopes that the next few zones, at least until stage 6, is going to be able to house them very safely. They don't really have to move too far off. So it is a good gamble, if I must say, if they were to at least hunker down into somewhere in the midst where they could still maybe run out in the open. So they kind of want to allow the rest of these other teams over onto the high ground terrains to fight against each other. So we'll have to see about this shift. If it goes over on the hot right, then, A1 is going to be laughing their way out. And I guess you're absolutely right. This might just actually go back over the high ground, and D plus Kia is waiting for that to happen.
Ooh, okay. And they're in a very solid position. High ground, they're able to overlook the city. In case anyone wants to climb up the high ground, D plus Kia will have the preemptive strike chance. So it's looking pretty good for them so far. But probably can't say the same for Romeo Boy. Okay, Alter Ego is making the shift. If we look on the left side of this map, passing by Romeo Boy, Alba probably doesn't know that he's there, and Romeo Boy will want to keep silent. But wait, they made a U-turn. They probably sense that somebody is there, or maybe they saw a pixel somewhere.
He might have actually seen some of all the moves coming in from Romeo Boy. I'm surprised that YG has been able to make a run into this quarter of the map, because the last we saw, they were kind of stuck in there with Alpha 7 inside of El Pozo, and YG kind of held on to whatever that's left at this point in time. Alter Ego, they played it really silently. They started from El Azhar, and to see them actually move over onto Prison Grounds also has been rather impressive, because that's, I don't know, a couple of 100 kilometers that they've actually covered throughout the course of running over in these corners. And now having a tough predicament. How do you get over onto a ground that's safe without getting caught out on this rotation? Which is why Alter Ego is currently plotting something up. RQ already soaking a couple attacks, and Team Secret over on the hillside having Frankie to claim one against Alpha.
Ooh. And Alter Ego is left with 2 players. Frankie, that was a sneaky one. And with the fact that now they know the presence of somebody in this building, it looks like they choose to crash in. Okay, they know that it's only one based on the information, based on the shots. And now they have the numbers against Frankie, so it's going to be a 1v2. Here comes Frankie. Mini 14 on one hand, M4 on the other hand. So he is going to be needing his trusty M4, but don't forget about that. 1 nade is all it takes by Krypton to take him out.
Yeah, a great angle recovery coming in. We thought that nade will be tossed immediately. Well, he kind of held out for a couple more seconds just to align through the windows perfectly. So that's some of the finest out of the pro plays that we're looking at when it comes down to managing utilities. Well, A1 so far, king of the hills, just like D plus Kia, but they're taking charge over the far eastern corner of the map. RQ now stuck somewhere in the midst of the city. They are in the church, maybe praying that the circle once again shift back in the city. Then they don't really have too much trouble having to move out in that sense. Sleepy might have actually seen Romeo Boy around that corner, which is why he's keeping his angles locked towards that direction. And I'm wondering if these 2 individuals will have to reposition. We're getting a confirmation right now, and the answer is yes, they will have to make a move. And right across, Alter Ego isn't exactly looking towards that direction, but trying to pave a path to take up against D plus Kia up the hills.
Okay, this is where Romeo Boy will also be hoping that whoever is in front of him to move forward. If not, he won't have the space. And Sleepy is the one that's still waiting here. Okay, I think Sleepy kind of knows that somebody is there. So that's why he's using his TPP just to monitor the presence of Romeo Boy. Romeo Boy is going to navigate on the other side, so we try to avoid Sleepy altogether, and he still has that little space if he just choose that southern side of the city to rotate in. But Alter Ego, they could be out for blood. I don't know if they know the position of Sleepy, so there's a lot of question marks here. And I guess that's natural if it's a urban warfare. But now Sleepy stepped out of his shack. He wants that point. out of Romeo Boy.
Rightfully so. If you're going to be an individual unit, you're going to want to claim whatever that there's left over on the fields. And YG could easily succumb to it. No clue whatsoever for Romeo Boy. And he's just journeying his way past the city side. Alter Ego, hoping to also do exactly the same up against these two players. It's a chance, an opportunity, not fully connecting.
And here's Romeo Boy eliminated. That's it for Yangu Gynicals. Number 9, 3 elimination points. 8 more teams to go. This is where all the teams will start to collect placement points for themselves. And we still have Sleepy on the outside of the circle. Last we checked, and the zone is closing. Alter Ego should have an okay entry into the circle. That's fine. They won't advance further because if they do, then they'll be facing off against D plus Care. And that's not the position that they want to be in, considering that they only have 2 players here. So now the pressure is truly on to Sleepy now to find a way into the circle.
Yeah, it's a very, very tough position. If you could buy enough time for the rest of these teams to be preoccupied, then he will be running over onto these cores with enough room. Then if you look at the rest of D plus K, they're kind of repositioning, swarming towards the direction of A1 Esports, and I believe that got them into hot waters instead. Sinister with a P90 lands the mark, and just like that, 2 members of the side of D plus K is already down and out. Also trying to dance it all up, trying to go for a save, and they still get the job done. It's actually coming from Nobar out of RRQ, seeing the fight happen in between the heels, and this is where Hitman tries to salvage this opportunity and prime a grenade right towards both of the members of DK. Sinister's feeding off that information, also now on the push as well. A 1v1 between the two to settle the scores. And that exact scope isn't exactly helping as he's running all the way downwards, giving the advantage back towards the side of Oslo. He will land it perfectly. And now a chance at redemption against A1.
Oh, okay. Osa's not out of it yet. And here comes the rest of A1. They are advancing. While we check out the circle shift, it looks like the circle still having a little bit of that high ground though. But in the city, we do have teams coming in, and that's with the AVG. But here is A1. A1F tryout. Whoever this player is now going up against Osa. Osa 10% of health left, but he needs to reload. And unfortunately, he had to reload in front of Osa. He had no choice.
And also barely has enough cover. And all down to Deathstar. He's flipping over another chance for Osa. This is just looking devastating for A1 Esports, and he flipped out of the match. Oh. That's heartbreaking for A1.
Out of all the moments that had to happen, it's just too bad for A1 from scoring a chicken dinner to flipping cars. Alpha Gaming, however, only 1 player left. Is good to deal with his DBS gameplay, but they lost the 1v1 against Sleepy. Sleepy from Horror Esports continues to survive.
Horror Esports carrying the flag of Nepal into the finish line if they could. We've seen what they've done with the duo and Sleepy so far. Mr. Reliable, but in between them, MVKE. Another one clad in royal yellow, gold if you will. It's going to be RRQ, challenging the likes of Octa. He's all alone though. He's been there for a very long time, and it's coming to this point where its push comes to shove, and will Octa be able to hold firm? MVKE also with some preemptive nades to answer back towards the rest of RRQ. So they are currently boxed right in. A good opportunity. Octa gets taken out very swiftly, and RRQ, they're on the low ground. We'll see where they can fight off MVKE.
Okay, now Tins in the building. Wunti on the outside. As the 2 players of MVKE, we need to fight against RRQ. 3 players. Let's not forget about D plus Care as well behind them. D plus Care. They're just monitoring the situation at this moment. Sleepy with the DBS on the lower ground. He will stay put, but he will be slightly forced to move. No, if you guys think about it, Sleepy still has some space. He can still park himself by the edge of his building that he's currently in and he will be in the circle.
Yeah, that's true, and perhaps they just allow the fights to take place so Hora can gain those positions. Now, D plus Kia, they take this time to reconvene and take on the rest of Alter Ego, closing in the distance. Krypton did not last a second. And Nobu, oh Nobu, this guy, he thrives in the chaos. And it's just crazy, right? You think about it, D plus Kia, they push from that hillside towards A1, and then pulls all the way back, pushes the other side, just to take out Alter Ego. And just like this, I believe this could be a very, very good game for DK, while that nade connects towards Genfos.
Okay. But anyway, Genfos has the space for him to be revived by his teammates. Olapa cooks his own nade, but and then the nade by Tens! Knock it out, Olapa! RRQ, big recovery for them. At the same time, Sleepy is moving into the inner side of the circle. From the top, it's going to be all-style again. Now D plus Kia, 10 eliminations. They're currently on the rampage, while RRQ eliminated number 4. Now we're at our top 3 teams.
Well, your vote and mine still counts right now. But we have a Titan on the block. The adrenaline pumping in the veins of Ossel, as he's been the one that's been the kingmaker of this match. Taking out A1, taking out Alter Ego, and now looks to claim the entire match to secure their second chicken dinner of the day. Sleepy, barely enough space. What does he make good use of it? D plus Kia has got no hunch just yet that Sleepy is over on the lower ground. We'll have to see what does the rest of MVK do, because they're bunched up and the rest of DK got them boxed in.
Oh man. What if Sleepy actually comes up with a chicken dinner? It's going to be insane, but Nobu knows his position. A nade was launched onto Sleepy, damaging his health down to 50%, but he still can heal up. Not going to be a big problem for Sleepy. But now we're at stage number 9. The zone will first touch Sleepy, so he will be forced to show himself to both MVKE and D plus Kia.
He might need to actually take up the fight up against the rest of Vikings as well. So it really depends how much utilities does he have, and will he try to actually peek over onto those members of D plus Kia. With all these terrain advantages, it doesn't seem like there's much of an option for the rest of these field. And Noble once again hitting the mark, looking for those members of the members of MVKE. Just like that, D plus Kia secures their second chicken dinner.
Well, 2 chicken dinners yesterday, and so far today, another 2 chicken dinners for D plus Kia. 4 chicken dinners in 2 days. This is an insane performance by D plus Kia, and for sure, by scoring this chicken dinner, they would have scored more than 100 points in total so far.
My, who can even come close to contest up against these members of D plus Kia at this moment? Their work rate is off the charts, and once again showing us why they are the very best in Miramar.
Very best of South Korea. The current reigning champions of the world, D plus Kia, ladies and gentlemen. And it's not like it's an easy chicken dinner for them. They had a hard fought, especially against A1 earlier on. And they brought in a total of 14 eliminations, so that's 24 points in this round. Surely they will be above 100 points. And everyone else is far away. They've created this big gap between themselves and even whoever who's at the second place.
Wow. Just phenomenal. Take a look at Osel's damage. 700 over, and so many clutch moments come out of this player himself, and it's just incredible. Nobu doing exactly the same, supplementing whatever it takes, always tagging alongside Osel, and he have been able to clear so many of all these big threats, even the likes of Alter Ego. If they did not make those bold calls, then they might not even be able to have this smooth victory by the tail run of it.
Looks like my man needs a drink. But D plus Kia, I mean, at this point, what does it take to stop this team, right? They only lost one player, I believe, towards the end, and that's absolutely fine because they gained so much more through the fights that they did. And look at their travel distance, the most among all these other top teams, just shows the work rate that they did in this round. Now, the rest of it, Vikings at second place. Again, a very consistent game that they had today, even though they don't have the chicken dinner, but they've been showing a level of consistency. We also have 4 tries with a brilliant play by T24 in this round and RRQ. Welcome back to the top 4 teams to watch. All 4 teams from different regions. It will be interesting to see how the overall charts will be shaped out later on.
True enough, and look at the rest of the field right now. I'm thinking that MVK at least has gotten good enough of maintenance overall over the course of these maps that they played out. So they are definitely chasing in, but the amount of points that they have right now won't be able to at least match up to what DK has in store. But in the form of damage, take a look at that. 1.8k versus 2k. It comes in really close, but the only problem is that Vikings, they did not manage to convert those high damage output into elimination points. And I guess that is just the nature of Miramar, where you have so many covers to work with.
Oh yeah. Especially with the fact that D plus Kia, or one of the things that they did very well is that they took the high ground, and then everyone else decided to go to the city, which is okay, right? But because of that, they have the high ground advantage, that they have a lot of information. And one of the players that did well with information is Osal, MVP of the match again. 8 eliminations this time. Not the sexiest of damage, 768, but it's all about the eliminations that brings the points to the team. A massive amount of eliminations by this player himself. Imagine, out of 14 eliminations, he scored more than half of them.
Yeah, absolutely crazy work coming out of Osal, and that fight that he took up against A1 was just a daredevil move where you saw he barely had enough cover. I was sure maybe the final guy, Sinister, kind of flipped his vehicle, and it was unfortunate, but the way that he handled such a high-pressure situation is what makes him one of the best players in the world at this moment.
Oh yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely. I mean, he's also paired together with Nobu this round as one of the top performing players. But T24, glad to see him up here as well. We did see him put up a big clutch earlier in the high ground fights. 5 eliminations brought by him to the team, contributing 50% towards the team. Now here comes the board. 24 points for D plus Kia. We calculated that earlier on, but the Vikings still consistent with 12. 4 thrives. No placement points, no problem for them to be up there with the 10 eliminations thanks to T24.
Yeah, it was crazy work where we saw how many teams were funneled towards 4 Craft's direction in that early game, and they just kept on fighting, and they didn't really worry all too much. It's like, okay, we can take down 2 to 3 teams. We're happy enough with that result. Whereas you take a look at Claw Slayers, I felt like it's been a slump for them for a couple of rounds already. It's looking rather worrisome for all these Indonesian teams in general, where they're still hovering around that single-digit mark as compared to the rest of the field. Let's take a look at some of the rest of the stats as well, where we're having pretty long-range shots coming in from Trang, the highest that we've seen so far for today.
Oh yeah, 370, you're right. This is the biggest number that we've seen so far. So it's always nice to get your picture on the board. Although arguably the longest elimination distance stat isn't the most impactful stat or the most important stat, but still getting your picture on the board, can't complain about that. But total of 60 eliminations, and with the fact that D plus Kiara ended the round with 3 players, so only 1 player got eliminated by the zone in this round. Now, here comes the overalls. For sure, number 1, D plus Kiara. Welcome to the 100-point mark. 140 whooping points collected by them. They are ahead by the Vikings by 44 points.
It's crazy. I mean, you take a look at the average ratio right now. 2 chicken dinners per day, and you still have a few more games to go. So there's a potential for even a 3rd chicken dinner for this evening. Wow. VIG, they improved by a margin, all thanks to the survivability of Romeo Boy in this round in order to be a cut above. And for Tribes, that 10-pointer is what puts them at number 5 right now. A7 was not part of the equation. Naturally, they slide, but the rest of the field so far having some struggle, while MVKE, they look like they're unmoved, but they are absolutely putting major points every round that they get. Look at that. Today's one, you got 15 points for the first match, 11 for the previous, and last round, another 12 points.
And because of the survivability of Sleepy, Hora Esports is now at page number 2 at number 16. Most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, is to be in the top 16, to maintain the top 16. RRQ, let's not forget about them, one of the biggest leapers in this round. After scoring 9 points, they leap up 5 notches to number 12. So they're pretty okay in the middle of page number 2. But to be fair, some teams did play this round, some teams took a back seat, and they'll be back in the following round. Now on page number 3, BTR is one of those teams that took a break this round, so we got to be fair to them. Naturally, they will allow other teams to catch up to them, and they are pushed down to page number 3. Same goes for NS Red Boss.
Yeah, take a look at this page so far. A lot of these teams are still struggling. Alter Ego today has only gotten 5 points so far. The bulk of their income was from this round itself with those 4 points. And same could be said about the rest of the field. So definitely a lot more work for them to actually work on. So we'll have to see. We still have another couple of matches. So I guess we'll see what these teams can actually offer to us.
Yep, looking forward to that because in the next round, Group Red will still be playing. And just to point out, today out of the 4 rounds that we have watched, 3 chicken dinners are from Group Red. So again, it just shows the level of powerhouse that they have in this round, or at least today that is, or well, as long as we retain this group, which I believe will be throughout the entire playoffs. But before we head on to that, we'll be taking a short break, ladies and gentlemen. When we're back, it's going to be Irago, so don't go anywhere. You don't want to miss out on match number 5.
Step into the ring. Step into the ring.
out of four chicken dinners, 3 of them from Group Red, man. Group Red is showing some proudness here. And specifically D plus K, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ruthless Invitational Showdown Season 11. And we're still here with you. My name is Sir Cloud, together with my wonderful buddy here, Contra. And man, what does it take to stop D plus K at this point?
I don't know, man. They kind of took my voice away in that sense. Halfway through, I'm trying to recover. I hope you guys don't mind me if I sound kind of bad right now. But like you said, Group Red, they look phenomenal. I mean, as much as we talked about how stacked those rosters are, now we're bringing in Group Yellow. And I think we've seen quite a lot coming out of the players out of Vampire Esports, that they are very capable. But what about D-Savior? We always talk about that late activation. Is it about time that DX actually gets involved?
Well, are they on your prediction then?
Well, you know what? Let's bank on it. Put DX on my list if that's the case.
Okay, all right. Locking in D-Xavier there, but I normally don't do this, right? But I have to give an exception today because it's hard to deny. D plus Kia.
Oh, yeah.
Let's bring it on. Yeah, and what I mean by when I say I normally don't do this is that I normally don't do like the same 2 teams in a day. But at this point, it's like, how can you say no to them, right?
Yeah, I think like by now they could just rest like 1-2 games and they will still be number 1 in that sense, because they have deserved it with 4 chicken dinners already. Now, what I love is the expert's prediction. Alpha 7 so far, they are absolutely great when it comes down to all these duels, especially when they are giving them just about no space, where they thrive the best when it's like open field format. A7's got great firepower, and I'm definitely looking forward for a whole lot of that. D-Savior, I don't know if it's a lot of trial and error, a lot of tests going on this side, because they're not revealing who exactly is playing for today. And so far, at least, we have noted that there's Paragin, there's also a few other notable names, but it's a big question mark. Are we seeing Lamborghini play? I have no idea.
I mean, he could be one of those pseudo-names, right? So we don't know. No pictures for those pseudo-names, so I don't know. It's so hard to tell, right? He could be amongst them. He could not be amongst them. We don't know yet. But one thing we want to find out is that whether they will be challenged in Pachinki, because the last time we saw D-Xavier and Pachinki, they were challenged by another team. Now, another area that could be contested early is Yasnaya. The Hora Esports versus Talent fight might happen again now that we're restarting in Irango, and they happen to be in the same group anyway. Well, let's check out Irango if that happens.
Here we go, moving into the next round as we are seeing this flight take off from Stelber yet again to be moving into the island. Now, does that signify that we're getting another island finish? Because last time we saw, APG was the only one inside the island. So perhaps teams have made certain studies, or maybe with the change of groups, some of the teams might be looking for certain adjustments to maybe take spaces like Novo Repnoy to themselves. So A7, they're already out of the plane, perhaps claiming a little bit of territory around the fields of the mansion grounds, and we'll get that direct flight into Yasnaya. So who knows what kind of direct challenge is there. If Hora Esports is still on board, then we will expect a little bit more of that explosive fight to happen. But I believe Hora might just be taking a break after, 2 back-to-back rounds. So, well, actually, they're still here. And it seems like a little bit of a change that we're looking at when it comes down to certain drop spots currently.
This will be the last round for the night for Hora Esports. Then they will be taking a break from the final round because it won't involve their group. But at the very beginning, Yasnaya, Hora is going to drop there as expected. And E-Arena is somewhere close. But circle-wise, not the easy of circle when you have to split between the north and the main peninsula. So teams will still need to guess where the circle will go at the end of the day. But that's something for them to figure out later, especially for the teams that have early encounter. Alter Ego and Alpha 7. How similar the names are. Now it's the fight for Lipovka.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a tough battle in between some of the areas, and whoever knows the city like the back of their hands will be having the biggest benefits out of it all. The Saber at it again in the fight of Pachinki as they are taking more of these applications up against the rest of KN. And they've managed to take out 2. They lost only Powerjet at the moment. Now storming right through 2504. He's hoping to claim the numbers, and just like that, secures it. 4 straight points. This time, looking much cleaner than before.
Yeah, the last time the Xavier they won with 2 players left. This time 3 players. So it's an improvement by them. And it so happened that Kinotrop and the Xavier happen to be in the same group. So that means the fight for Pachinki might continue on. The same goes for Lipovka, perhaps. Because Alter Ego and Alpha 7, they are also in the same group. But between these 2 teams, Alpha 7, they scored 1 elimination. And Alter Ego, with only 3 players left. And Alter Ego haven't had the best of performance overall so far. They're currently at number 20 in the overall charts. So this is a fight against Alpha 7 that they cannot afford to lose. Whereas for Alpha 7, even if they lose this fight, they will still be on page 1. So no sweat for them.
Sure enough. And Alter Ego backs against the wall, though. Today hasn't been their day out so far. As I last mentioned, they've only had a total of 5 points throughout the many rounds that they played out, and is looking rather worrisome. And this time, we're having High that will be playing for this. Already marking onto the Zerots over on the far corner, and Schweppes kind of stuck between trees. Manparang marking onto the location. It's been a long time since we actually get to see High actually playing alongside with Manparang, and it's been like how many seasons now?
I'm trying to think back history, right? When Mamparang was still actively playing with then called Yuru Gang.
Yuhai was not around. He was in Team Secret.
Yeah, so officially on an official tournament, they have not played together yet. But who knows with this sort of setup, they might in the upcoming PMSF.
They play together in the same lobby, but against each other.
Oh yeah, that's right. But both of them have their respective successes though. But Deva is looking for his own success here, as Alpha 7 is charging into the same building where he's at. So the teammates spread across, and Krypton tries to cut across this building to provide extra cover for Devon. And Alpha 7 still not letting them go in the same building. But they are playing this very carefully. They're aware of the other players of Alter Ego that could be on the other building coming in.
Love the implementation of sticky grenades. They're trying to flush this position. They get the knock over on Krypton. Now down to Daybot. He's got the Bison in hand. Looking for the wraparound, and it's Senap, who's being able to bring that DPS into the equation. And right now, down to Alpha, now with the push. Alpha 7 squeezing passes. They have been able to get the better end of the trades. Now down to Alpha, riding around the corners, and Senap managed to spot him out. And just like that, tags him out. Alter Ego once again walks away with barely ending it all, and this time just starting from 0.
Yeah, 0 points. Hasn't been the best of days for Alter Ego. Eliminated by Alpha 7, who now has 4 elimination points to their name. And they ended this fight before the blue arrived on them, so they will have much more time to rotate into the circle as compared to the match in Mirama. And speaking about the circle, so it looks like most of the teams still picking the main peninsula around the Gatka Mountain area. We have Blue Squad there, E-Arena's there as well, together with the Vikings. BTR, however, they take the northern side, so hoping for the circle to shift that way, but it's still 50-50. It could go anywhere.
True enough, and just like you said, BTR are the only one over in northern corner, and who knows if the hardship would possibly benefit them right now while Blue Squad has maybe a little bit of 50-50, some of the containers, and a couple more that's still holding over onto the corner of the bridge. So I think this is a good plan coming from Blue Squad. We saw them actually farming some big numbers, all due to the effort coming from the as well as what I deem to be KF to also be chiming in for some of all these damage output at the very same time. And so far, they have been looking stellar on the offense. And speaking of offense, I think like that area over on the north side of that Mount Gakka will definitely see a lot of bloodshed later on. But it's been a long-standing ride over on the corner of Lipovka, and now they're soaking in some blue zone damage. So Alpha 7 has got a long journey up ahead. Wow, Mountain Red Force find their route. A7 caught in between.
Red Bull! Oh man, what did he just do? Alpha 7 totally didn't expect that. One spray knocking 2 players of Alpha 7 down to the ground. Oh, you sneaky Red Bull.
Who would have thought Red Bull would be out here camping for so long? And he was not part of the plan at all. You know, the last time we saw FaZe Clan, we were scattered around the field, and he snuck up on these guys. Just like that, FaZe Clan kind of know what exactly to do with those late rotators and absolutely got them all punished. RQ doing the same as they're camping out for Claw Slayers right underneath that bridge. And take a look at how many bodies out there on the blue zone that there is at this moment.
Yeah, especially on the right side bridge. Claw locked in with RRQ. Both sides don't want to let go of each other, it seems. Look at the position on Napeko. He still wants to be here to try to block out Claw. Even though they're soaking up the blue damage, taking a lot of risk there. Ken gets needed down, and Xavier will be the one to take over this compound out of the hands of BTR. And BTR, they will lose players. Still in the game though with 3 players. So not too bad for BTR as the rest of them are on the other side, so they will avoid unnecessary fights. Back on the right side bridge here. Claw and RRQ continues on. Nice long range by Mr. Unstoppable. Knock down the Napeko.
RQ going on from that full chase, and it's really taking a toll on both of these teams right now. More so onto Claw Slayers, now losing another one in the process. Great maneuver, and now down to 1. Unstoppable doesn't look too unstoppable right now with that nade. Prime right through.
Wow.
It will secure it for the Kings of Kings.
That's an absolute 3-pointer there. What a nade that was. That was very far away, but he was still able to land it. Oh, sleepy for Hora Esports. Just got a play of BTR. But no continuation from there. It could be a long-range knock. A long-range elimination. But now teams taking their position within the circle. Blue Squad has arrived. The Dragon Rangers. Hora Esports, welcome to the circle as well. Looks like they decided to go down to the main peninsula side. I guess that's because of the shift of the stage 2 circle. Maybe majority of the circle is on the main peninsula. That's why we see most of these teams decided to go there.
Yeah, the last we checked, it actually moved over onto the far end of the Gatka fields. Only slight bits of the mountain is being covered, which is why you see a lot of teams are currently repositioning themselves. And Hora could still play by the corners of the ruins ground. It does give them a little bit of cover for now, especially with this area being unoccupied, so they can take claims. While you can take a look at D-Saber on the peak, having a little bit of spread at this moment. And just seeing if we can find that catch. Damage being done. Ooh. Beautiful work to take Curian out of the equation. I believe the rest of BT are also looking for a little bit more of that space. That's going to be Sky spotted out. For esports, looking whether or not if they could reconvene and perhaps take a little bit of challenge up against the Saber, because they may not be able to hold over on the high ground all too much. And you take a look at even the containers, it's being evacuated entirely, and lo and behold, the fight is gonna take place all the way up top and on the low grounds.
Ooh, a lot of focus on the Regatta Mountain now. And Xavier has that mountain top locked in. I wonder if any other team would want to challenge them for that top. For the Vikings, coming in from the right side into the circle, they are in it, so it's more of them taking the position of their liking. They found a compound inside of Gaka, so that's okay for them. This should be a position that not many teams would want to take at this point, or they might find it not worth it to force themselves into this compound. Many other places for them to still be at. And D plus K decides to play on the lower ground as well, the powerhouse of this round. As for Sem9, high ground, coming into the circle, will force them to go down to the lower ground. So they have to be aware of the presence of E Arena. Next could be challenging them for the position. But speaking about a challenge, here comes Hora Esports.
Well, looks like what I mentioned early on have rung true. Hora Esports looking to pave their way. D-Saber, they've been here for quite some time, and 2504 was the one that kind of saved the day when they were battling inside Pachinki, and this time needing him to clutch once again. DX4 looking for some alternatives, and that grenade clipped perfectly. High Dami now clear is the front line. Levi's actually back on track, so he will have a lot of work to do to hold the rest of them down. Guess he will see whether if they could just wait for the right timing. Jiggle as well, Sleepy, closing in the distance, and now it's looking rather dangerous for the rest of the X.
And Levi's with the high ground. But the players of Hora Esports surrounding him though. SFK, 1v1 against Jiggle. Jiggle taking a lot of damage. Jiggle in trouble. Jiggle will be knocked out by Levi's. Levi's tries to finish him off with an M4. But the rest of Hora Esports got to follow up. Here comes Sleepy, but Sleepy takes a lot of damage from the other side just to be finished off by Levi's. Hora Esports, they failed to take the top of this mountain.
Oh, it seems like it was some help coming in from FaZe Clan that got the rest of Hora Esports sandwiched in between. And hence why D-Saber is willing to give up a lot of that space because they expected more and more of those visitors. And right now, only 2 members remain. DX, I kind of voted for them, and now left with 2. I'm not sure how long could they actually hold on for. And it's all about managing your resources at the same time. But with other teams flushing that position, it's looking harder and harder to do. A very high likelihood that this circle will still appear around the hillside as directly to the top. So it's really a battle for attrition. Look at all these teams over the south side. They got to find a way in.
Yeah, especially for Sem9. The closest rivals to them is going to be E Arena down south. You have them on screen. E Arena looks like they're making their move. They have a 4-way split, so they want to play together at stage number 4, especially when it's this close. You want to play close to each other because fights tend to happen. So Sem9, they missed their chance of getting a pickup off the E Arena. Managed to escape. Now the rest of E Arena, they are plotting their way into the circle, but there's still enough space and they do have a marker, a player that's in it, so they should be able to follow up soon.
Yeah, great drive coming in from 456. He sort of is in the Squid Games of his own in that sense. So we'll have to see if he'll be able to, get into the grand finals, just like the series. I'm not giving any spoilers for those who have not watched it. If you're not watching it, I don't know. Maybe you guys been busy watching us casting this matchup instead, which is a good thing. FaZe Clan now getting soaked up with a lot of damage being done. So right now it's all down to Shopper. I'm not too sure what when I was RRQ flushing them off, and somehow, D-Saber is still holding firm.
Ooh. Wow, so many teams coming in onto the high ground. Next up is going to be RRQ. Here comes RRQ. A chance to pick up points out of FaZe Clan. While at the back, we see Gen4. Okay, Gen4's at the forefront here. Looking for his space. RRQ currently dominating with 5 elimination points after taking out Shopper. Dewey is going to be the final remaining active player for FaZe Clan. He will escape this one. Well, Red Bull will be eliminated. Next is going to be D plus Care. Say hello to them as they manage to hike up to the top of the mountain as well.
Yeah, there's not much space for that DX member to run all about. He's only going for that descent because he knows there's too much of a crowd over the top of the hill, and D plus Kia is about to make it hurt. Levi somehow still holding by himself, but it will be Gen Foss putting up the pressure, and that is just enough for Dingo Saviors to crash out, but not without all these points. They secured a total of 8. Now Blue Squad also wants to be in the mix. Sticky grenades now popped up. Yet to see those big connections out of the stickies right at this moment, but here comes Mamparang holding down the line. A very tough angle, and these creases is just allowing him a little bit of a breather. Trezzy to also supplement whatever that he has. Flashbang right to the forefront. Somehow Sem9 keeping themselves afloat only for a couple more seconds, as that is going to be D plus Kia putting them to sleep.
And the zone took out Wunti for the Vikings. A D plus Kia, they have RRQ still to clear off before they can claim this mountain for themselves. But, gonna monitor the next shift. It's gonna go 100% onto the Kaka Mountain. So D plus Kia, if they're able to flash out the RRQ, they're gonna have a good dominance here on top of this mountain. Okay, one by one, they do have the numbers. But then again, the challenge is gonna be the terrain. Here comes Fabian from the other side with the hovercraft. Giving him extra protection. Nobu gets one. One more to go. That's going to be Gen Force. All in on the Gen Force right now. DBS gameplay by Osa to finish him off. Now, D plus Kia, you'll be the king of the hill.
You know, you voted for D plus Kia twice for today, and definitely you're spot on with your predictions. Now here comes Gold Quarter Challenge. Set up, almost securing it, but from the back, it's 4-5-6 in order to supplement the attack. And now, looking at the Battle of the King of the Hills, Vikings is the next one to be looking towards the direction of D plus Kia. They still have a strong unit over on the spine. The rest have been weakened already. Only 6 more teams remain. Realistically, the only form of numbers that we're looking at healthy enough are from Nongshim as well as E Arena to eventually take the fight up to those members of DK. XZ turning his way all around, and it seems like they could still play from this far corner, and they don't really want to climb up the hill just yet.
I'm not gonna jinx it, man. I'm not gonna jinx it, alright? I'll just leave it as it is for now. We still have a total of 6 teams. Anything can happen. E Arena, they've been rotating for the longest time, and now they decided to go to the foot of the hill. But if they decide to go up any further, then they will find resistance from another team. Something for them to consider carefully. But as long as they're in the circle, they'll be fine. The Vikings will be the one closest to E Arena, but they don't have the numbers. It's only Superman and Break now. It's Break revived. It's time for him to heal up. Circle still 100% on that high ground. E Arena slowly tracking up, but they have to win it against the Vikings if they want to go to the top.
This is going to be a tough challenge, though. Closing in the distance. Joker does have that grenade prepped up. I think he kind of knows where exactly to throw it, but it's just lobbed a slightly wide towards the angle. The grenade from Superman catches onto the buggy instead. He's going to go for another round. This time, a little closer while the rest of Blue Squad is pushing the rest of E Arena. This huge margins that we're looking at. And over on the flank, Blue Squad also getting ambushed by Nongshim.
Oh, and here comes NS Red Force. But now we're going to look at what's going to happen here with Superman. Superman still putting in a performance. Okay, not cleared out yet, but he will secure this elimination point for his team. E Arena still around the corner. Break at the top of this hill. But let's also monitor the situation of NS Red Force just behind E Arena. They could come in and sandwich E Arena.
Yeah, Break looking for the wonderful toss, but the tags are coming in. D plus Kia still having the most elevated portion of the map. We see them taking hovercrafts over onto Mount Everest, something that we've never seen in real life. And this, guys,
man. These guys are aliens. And I tell you this because Fabian, he's on the hovercraft again, looking to push downwards, and this is just going to give him plenty of cover. And now moving towards all the other over on the foothill, and this could just be an opportunity for D plus Kia to close it over onto these two who's currently fending each other off.
Now we're at the top 5. But a lot of focus on the left side. So D plus Cat, they're just gonna take advantage of the situation because all the attention's on that side. One nade to take down Break. And Superman is just too far away. Noble will come in to secure the elimination point. It's gonna be 7 elimination points now for D plus Cat. Noble cooking up his next nade. Now this will be familiar faces that D plus Cat will be facing off his NS Red Boss, the champions of their region. And D plus Cat will want this revenge against NS Red Boss.
This is the battle of the Korean Titans right now. In order to seize whatever space that they have over onto the Cloud Mountain.
Whoa!
And that nade from Nobu will just call up whatever Nongshim has to offer. And now only down to 1. Doxy, the last member remaining. There's a couple attacks coming through. He ran out bullets going for a recharge. He still got it in return.
Ooh, and D plus Cat, they're on a rampage. 4v1v1. Unless a big upset can happen. Oh, make that a 4v1 right now. Uliazaphobia against the global champions, D plus Cat. He does have the high ground though. And D plus Cat, they don't know where he is. He sees Chips. Chips. Okay, that's going to be a startup for him. He will eliminate Chips immediately, but that's a signal to D plus Cat to now check their back. Azaphobia is there.
And then right with the flank, also coming in with his angles of his own. Noble quicker on the buggy as this is just going to be a hunt for the final member of BTR. Last stand, and Noble goes down. Here comes Iza fighting off against the rest. They're taking this hovercraft all the way down under.
Okay.
And this might just be a huge clutch coming in, but not apparently so. Another chicken dinner in the back for D plus Kia.
Dude, D plus Kia again. And it's not like they win this with a small amount of eliminations. They got more than 10 eliminations. The global champions, Annyeonghaseyo, your oppas, D plus Kia, ladies and gentlemen. Still not slowing down at all. They started off the day well, and now they end the day with a chicken dinner. Nothing stops D plus Kia. Look at the amount of eliminations. 13 eliminations. That's 23 points in the final round.
Somebody give this guy's tickets to the global stages already, man. Like, D plus Kia have shown that they are a cut above the rest. Nobu again and again. Look at the amount of absurd damage that he caused against all the rest of the field. And they weren't exactly the first over the hillside. They had to kind of fight their way through from the far western plains and then claim territory, and just with great amount of all these resistance to not only defend but to also push through all the teams that came before that was holding you to the peak. And just like that, they overwhelmed the competition with 3 chicken dinners a day, besting their record from yesterday.
Oh man, this is crazy. You pointed out right, they bested their record yesterday. Out of 4 rounds today, 3 chicken dinners. They end the day with a smile. Man, I just want to say, right, I had Korean for lunch. Just saying,
wow.
just saying.
No
Just
wonder you said it was spicy. I mean, I kind of gotta use some of that for my throat later. Maybe it will clear it up for me.
Or maybe some nice herbal soup in Kapong. And just putting it out there.
Sounds good.
Well, it looks like the top 2 teams to watch here are both from South Korea, D plus Kia and NS Red Force. And followed by a BTR of Fighting. We see them up here as one of the teams to watch. With the final player, whoever he is, at least he stole away like 2 points from D plus Cat. So that's not too bad. And we also have RRQ up here as well as part of our teams to watch, our top 4 teams here. What's impressive is that BTR only had full squad time of 11 minutes 45 seconds, but still able to place themselves up here in the top 4.
That's right, and RQ really fought tooth and nail for that spacing, and they got quite an amount of elimination points. And look at D plus Kia, a total of 13. So that's a 23-pointer chicken dinner for them. Bigatron by Vitality, they only managed to squeeze in to secure themselves not only the position but also 3 elimination points. Of course, it may look like a far cry of a difference, but this means a whole lot to BTR in the form of regaining whatever kind of positions that they kind of lost out for the couple of rounds. So MVP, no questions asked, definitely has to be Noble.
Front man of Squid Game. The front man of D plus Kia. Noble, the top fragger here, 6 eliminations, 1,092 damage to his name. Sexy numbers all around, and obviously he survived towards the end. 11 utilities used. What else can I say about this guy, right? I mean, this guy, top prodigy player, playing for D plus Kia, global champion at a very, very young age. And now he's still the top MVP in this tournament. Followed by 33. Not too familiar who this player exactly is, but I guess he had some inspiration from Korea. It looks like Korean symbols that he used in his name. And then we have 2504, and then a mysterious player from D Xavier, and whoever Azaphobia is. Guys, can we get an explanation on who these players is? They've been performing well. We want to know who they are.
Well, you're not wrong when you call Noble the front man, because these guys, they come in numbers, and it's like, I dictate whatever numbers you put on the field because I run the show. And rightfully so. 3 chicken dinners, they're clearly winning out the rest of these group stages. I feel like you can just allow them to just take a break for one day, and they will still qualify. Like, we still have a few more days to go, but at this work rate, I don't think anyone's catching up other than, maybe a handful like MVKE, arguably even Void Donkey that isn't exactly performing today. So realistically, this is the only team right now cutting closer and closer to 200-point margin.
Yeah, they should be like somewhere. Yeah, they should be very, very close. Okay, I wouldn't want to do the math,
160,
right?
maybe?
Yeah, they should be around like 160 or so. Imagine this: 8 games, you score 160. That is insane numbers. That's an average of like what? 4 games, 60 points. That's crazy. Okay. 137. It's still an insane number, considering that I've only played 8 games. 4 yesterday, 4 today. Solid number 1. They're ahead by like what? 60 points in front of MVKE.
Well, if you think about it, these teams have to be grateful that this is not the Smash rule just yet for today.
Oh.
Because it's pretty much over if you have D plus Kia performing like this on the Smash rule. And who knows? It might just be a 3-game finish if it's going to be D plus Kia doing exactly just this over the course of the finals.
Hey, if it's exactly this, it's like 2 games and we're done with the show. And we're like, okay, guys, we still have time to see the sunset. So, we'll see you guys next round. Sort of thingy. But we also got to give it to NS Red Force. A huge lead for them. 6 notches up with 10 points collected. So they're at number 12 right now. So great work there by the other South Korean team. On page number 3, well, some of these teams did play earlier on, including Vampire Esports, who only scored 1 point, but they dropped 3 notches to page 3 here. And some of these teams did not play the previous round. So like Talon, got to be fair to them. They'll be back in the following round, and they have a chance to come out of this 3rd page that nobody wants to be in.
Yeah, what's also surprising to me is that I look at Horror Esports stats as well. Game 1 looking great. I think like the rest, they're losing a little bit of that grip. So we'll see. They're going to be playing after this, I hope. So will be coming shortly. Back here in a couple of minutes, so don't go anywhere, as you don't want to miss our final run for the night.